Hi, everyone. My name is Garima, and I am the community manager at the Happiness Collective. Thank you so much for joining us on this YouTube Live. The Happiness Collective is a community of citizens who have come together at a time of crisis to share joy, help each other, and promote emotional and mental wellness. Our work is across building our community online through social media, live streamed events and programming on YouTube, and building resources for mental health with professionals in the field. Thank you so much for tuning into the Happiness Show. For those of us who are joining us for the first time, the Happiness Show is a unique 3 segment program that happens every second Sunday on YouTube, where we explore how to engage with mental and emotional wellness in these times by learning about how different people are responding to the pandemic, taking care of themselves, and helping others in need. These segments include Musings and Meditations with Sharad Jagtiani, who's an actor, singer, and life coach, which begins at 5:30, Soulful Sunday Open Mic at 6 p.m., and Candid Conversations with Changemakers at 7:15 p.m. First, let's begin with Musings and Meditations. Thank you so much, Sharad, for joining us.
Hi, Garima.
How are you doing?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm good too. For those of us who are watching this for the first time, Sharad is a life coach, singer, and Bollywood actor. On every edition of the Happiness Show, Sharad and I talk about happiness, meditation, and well being in the pandemic. In our past editions, we've spoken about dealing with negative emotions, how to be positive, and setting boundaries and raising your vibration. You can watch these on the Happiness Collective YouTube channel. So this week, we are talking about our relationship to social media in the pandemic, how we can make that a source of joy, and also watch some funny videos that Sharad has been making us to keep us joyful. So Sharad, tell us, how has been your relationship to social media these days?
You know, when you say social media and joy, it kind of is funny. You're like, what? That doesn't go together. But it's just sad what we have made social media, what we are doing with social media. But actually what we can do with it is very, very different. So actually, what happens is that I think when we get some WhatsApp forward, or if we see something on Facebook or Instagram or anything, and it's very, very controversial, it kind of, we just get sucked into that news. And sometimes we immediately forward it because we're also scared, and we just say, hey, and maybe we also want other people to tell us that, no, this is not true. Or maybe we want everyone to be scared with us. I don't know what the scene is. But whenever I get a forward, which I say, hey, this is something, I say, hey, there's something that's not quite okay with this message. So then I check that, is it verified? I ask questions also, is it verified, And initially what used to happen is people would say, why, you don't trust me or what? So, and then they get very emotional because already they're scared and they want, they're already in that emotion of, fear or anger. And if you question them, then they start getting aggressive. But I realized that this is okay. I need to question it anyway for my own sanity. And I would start questioning whatever I receive. And very often that would be fake. And I realized that if you don't check, then you're already triggered by something. You've already, your thoughts and emotions have gone in that direction. And then you have to work hard on bringing yourself back. And for what? For something that was fake or not relevant to you? Not worth it.
I remember, Sharad, you were telling me about this example that you were in a clubhouse room and you realized that it was full of people who were very angry and talking about things in a very negative way. So how did that affect you?
So I think that's fine, in the sense sometimes you have to express your emotions, but we should also look at a solution-based approach. And also, I think with people who have very strong views, they sometimes don't want to change that at all. And so they keep on, it's like debating all the time. Like what happens with some people on Facebook or anything is that you say something, they say something, you say something, they say something, and it goes, you can spend a whole day doing that. And at the end of it, when you think of it, did anything change? More often than not, nothing really changes. So I've stopped doing that. Now what I do is I express my point of view. I say, you know what, this is what I have to say. And or maybe I'll pick up the phone and do it rather than debate on Facebook if I want to. And I say, this is what I'm trying to say. These are my views. And sometimes you can't engage with someone. They're not open to your suggestions. There's no point giving a suggestion to someone who's not open to it.
Do you think this sense of hatred or people arguing or debating over social media? Do you think that's increased during the pandemic because people are
Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
very isolated?
It is increased because see, we don't have distractions now. Earlier, we would distract ourselves.
Mm.
So now the pain that we are feeling is we have to feel it. And
Mm.
instead of going deeper and understanding what it is, and I mean, even if you want to change society, you can do it more calmly. Like I would say the same thing that I want to say. Say if I want to do, say the roads outside my society are not okay, or if there's some problem, I would tweet about it. But the thing is, when you are calmer, when you're not angry and debating or trying to prove a point, you're more calmer. That's where meditation comes in, right? I mean,
Mm.
our topic is meditation and musings. So, where does the meditation come? It basically helps you to relax, observe what is happening, and still be a citizen who can create a change in the world, right? Not to run away somewhere and say, "Mujhe farak nahi padta." Of course, it affects us. So we can be calmer and then again say that this is what I stand for and this is what I want. This is what I want to change in my own life or in my environment or my society or my world. I generally say my world. So depends on whatever one wants to, have a change.
Mm. For all of us watching on the YouTube live, My World is also the name of Sharad's YouTube channel. And where
Sharad's
he,
world, actually. That I'm
sorry,
a little
Sharad's World.
selfish. I'm a little selfish. I'm like Sharad's world. They're like, "Acha, ye kab hua?"
No, but it makes sense. It's your worldview and how you're looking at things and thinking of things. Um, Talking about like negative effects of social media, like how have you seen that play out? The first thing that I see a lot is this fear of missing out, right? Like I think especially for young people, where we feel like the prime time of our lives is getting wasted because we're in the middle of a pandemic. We can't go out and meet people the way we would have wanted to, or we are not in the cities that we wanted to be in, and or be in the jobs that we wanted to be in. How have you seen fear of missing out play out?
I think it does happen. It's a very
Mm.
normal thing to feel that. But how about us then kind of feel united? Say if you go for a holiday and I'm at home, and I say, hey, she's my friend and such a lovely girl. So I'm so happy that she's happy. So I guess we have to learn how to think like that, because I think we keep on just saying I, me, myself. Okay, I, me, myself should happen when I want to manifest the power of my life and use it to help the world. But it shouldn't be used when I'm looking at someone else's life and feeling envy or jealousy. But
Mm.
let's not be in denial of envy and jealousy. Let's see what exactly is going on. So we can go deeper and say, hey, does this mean that I can't go on a holiday because maybe I don't have the money for it, or maybe I can't go right now, maybe I have too many responsibilities. So then we can work towards that. So again, not to go in denial. And also, let's try and feel happy for each other, because that just feels so good, no? I mean, like you say, hey, it's like me and many other me's. And
Mm.
how about, hey, oh wow, yeah, this is so nice. I'm sure happy for you. So if we start practicing this, we'll also feel better.
Definitely. And I think that attention to what our mind is telling us, because more often than not, our mind is on auto drive, right? We see somebody enjoying their life on social media because perhaps they're in a country where vaccinations have happened and they can travel. And one automatically ends up feeling jealous. So that very intentional change of your thought to maybe thinking something like, hey, I'm really happy for this person that they're enjoying themselves.
In
Because as
fact,
you were also
this
telling
is
me yesterday, um, otherwise you just end up wanting to do things that you don't even want to do, right? Like I might not want to travel, but if I see someone else traveling, then I say, no, I should also travel.
Yeah, I totally agree. But like I saw Preeti Zinta's video today, and I was like, wow. And she was actually somewhere where there was some live singing happening. And yesterday I was practicing some songs, so I was like, yeah, when will I do this? Okay, and then I thought of it, and I said, yeah, I mean, maybe another month or two, things will get better here, and we'll do it. So again, to go internal and say, hey, what is this triggering? And I was like, hey, nice, yeah, yeah, she's enjoying and people are enjoying, lovely. And I'll prepare some more songs, so it's fine. So you have to also accept what is going on, and then also work towards what you want.
Hmm. Definitely. So how have you been keeping yourself occupied with social media in a positive way in these times?
I was on TikTok last year, and when the coronavirus kind of came in, and a lot of people said TikTok is very tacky and this and that, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. I don't have much of an opinion about it. And anyway, what content I make is what I make, so whatever. So I started making that, then it got banned and all. And then this year, I never got into immediately jumped onto reels and all. But this year I was like, the second lockdown was like, ab yaar, ye kya ho raha hai yaar? So then I said I have to distract myself, and so I started making these reels, and they were quite funny. Some are very silly, like the humor is like what, nursery kind of jokes and all, but it's really fun. And what I started seeing was that, I started making some solos and some duets. And with solos, what happens is that people want to make duets with you. And I met some really cute people because they started making duets, and they would send me that, and they would be like, how is it? And then sometimes I would give them feedback. So it just started something very cute, actually.
That's really nice. I've actually been watching your videos, and they're really funny, and they really take your mind off things, which I think is as important in these times as thinking or talking. So for everyone who's
I have a friend's son, Mahua. Her son loves the reels so much that he cracks these jokes throughout the day. And she's like, yaar, tune kya kar diya ye? Imagine hearing the same joke throughout the day. And she's like, my God, Agastya. So Agastya cracks these jokes all the time. And she's like, oh my God, what have you done?
I think that's what happens, right? It's if you find something good, it kind of doesn't leave your head. For everyone who's watching with us on the YouTube live, Sharad and I actually thought it would be fun to share some of the reels that Sharad has been making. And Sharad, please tell us what the idea behind those reels was and how you made them. So I'm actually really excited to watch these with you. So
sure.
This was one of my favorite ones. So I'm going to start with this first.
ABCD सुनाओ.
ABC.
और सुनाओ.
और सब बढ़िया सुनाओ.
Who is this child?
This child is in Ludhiana, and I was amazed because she's 3 years old, and suddenly she made one duet with me, and the mother sent me the the reel, and she's like, "How is it?" And I'm like, "Wow! Like this is a 3-year-old, lip syncing, and so perfectly." So and then now she's been communicating, and she's like, "Said make more, make more. My daughter wants to make more," and I'm like, "So it's very cute, It's really cute."
Have you spoken to this girl at all?
No, so we've been chatting on Insta, on messaging, and we've planned to meet when this thing opens up, and when I go to Ludhiana, we're going to catch up.
That's so cute. I love that. I have another one that I want our audience to see. Tell us how you made this one, Sharad.
Sure.
Oh, this is the same one. Let me go to another one. This is also the same one, having some technical difficulties.
You're obsessed with that one.
Who knows? Maybe I am. Anyway, until these technical difficulties sort themselves out, Sharad, what is your process behind making these videos in the first place?
Anything to bring a smile on somebody's face, and also to my face, of course. It also gives me an opportunity to kind of get ready and shave and just play with expressions, because before this I was doing a lot of television commercials. So but of course I hadn't tried many of these expressions there. But now what I do is I try these and I show it to my mom, and I was like, "Acha, yaar, last expression maza nahi aa raha hai. Let's do something like thoda different." So it's a lot of fun for me also, but mainly because a lot of kids and girls and boys and everything, they are making duets, and sometimes they ask for tips and all that. So it's a lot of fun for me to do these.
Definitely. I think it's quite the opposite of what happens when you're mindlessly scrolling on social media. You're only consuming information or art and not creating it. And I think something like this really allows you to channel your creative energies and thoughts. So let's see if this one works. I find this one really funny as well.
ये देखो हमारी शादी की फोटो.
जिन जख्मों को वक्त भर चला है, तुम क्यों उन्हें छेड़े जा रही हो.
This is really funny. Who is this person? How did you come up with the idea for this one?
No, so this was a solo because I wanted to do something that then girls can make duets with. And marriage is such a favorite topic in our country. And the married men are always kind of complaining about it, and all it's like all in good humor. So I thought this is very interesting to make, and I got a lot of girls making duets with this. So it's really fun. Again, they would keep sending it to me, and I would be sharing it on my Insta stories and all. So again, it's something that I found really fun.
That's really great. We have another one that I'd like our audience to see.
पानी में रहने वाले 3 जानवरों के नाम बताओ.
मेंढक.
हाँ, और 2.
और उसके मम्मी पापा.
I think this is by far the funniest. Who is this girl? Because she's so good.
So this was one of the reels that I made when I just started off. And I was just amazed how cute this girl is. And, I just made it. And I think it's done more than 1 million views. So I was pretty shocked because I was like, what happened? Because sometimes we're running after the numbers and sometimes the numbers are running after us. And I was like, you just have to keep having fun with what you're doing and, just keep doing it. And you never know when those things happen.
Definitely. So you've never met this girl in person?
No, in fact, you can make a duet with anyone on Reels. That's the fun part of it. And sometimes you kind of become friends and sometimes, you don't. So it's just, it's an option that you can just make a duet with anybody.
Makes sense. You were telling me about this really fun story about this kid that you met once making reels. Do you want to share that with the audience?
Who I met?
Some child that you made friends with online when you were making reels.
Yeah, so this child, the one that you saw, क्या बोलते हैं और बताओ, ABC, Horen ABC, and then it's also now that one. So we are going to be catching up, and when we catch up, obviously we can make something that together. This is all like half screen. But when we catch up, we will also try and make something. So I think it's a very good place to also find talent and like-minded people, I guess. When you start chatting with people, you also understand where they're coming from. Because I've also had people telling me, like, ye kar do, wo kar do, like, the child wants to be an actor, which is, I don't have a point of view about that. But sometimes people are just having fun and I'm having fun. So it just kind of, I kind of figure out who I'd like to catch up once this gets over and, maybe create something together, co-create something.
Definitely. I have one last video that I want to show the audience.
तुम दिल मांगो दे देंगे, तुम धड़कन मांगो दे देंगे, तुम जिगर मांगो, चाहे तुम जान मांगो वो भी दे देंगे, क्योंकि ये चारों फिल्मों मैंने डाउनलोड करके रखी है.
Are these your favorite movies?
No. This was basically, like when you are, this is very cute because it gave a chance to a lot of girls to express, where they're getting impressed and suddenly they realize that he's talking about movies that he's downloaded. So I wanted to also check out how people, act. So I did it also. I also had fun with it because there's nothing for me to do in this. It was more like, okay, I'm just telling her that, mess up de dunga, whatever. I wasn't trying to trick her or anything. But it was very interesting because, the girl gets shy and then suddenly she realizes, oh, he's talking about movies. So different girls, they reacted differently. So very interesting to see all this. It's a lot of fun for me.
That's great, yaar. Do you think making reels in this creative process is almost meditative for you?
Yeah, I guess, anything creative. I'm also writing scripts. I'm writing songs. I'm writing some shairi, which I never knew I was good at. Because, when I express, and if I'm writing a motivation, if I'm, writing a script for a motivational video, and people are actually a little tired of all the information they're getting now. So I was just thinking today that why don't I, make a song out of it? Or why don't I make why don't I do shairi about my thoughts. So I think as a creative person, we can, or a short film, so that's interesting for people to see. So I think creativity can happen in various ways, and I think if you keep yourself creatively involved in something or the other, you remain happy also, and it helps you to it'll help in the future also.
Definitely. That's really interesting. You said that people are getting tired of receiving inspirational content. Aren't these times? I feel like everyone would be needing inspirational content.
Yeah, but I mean, to the point, right? See, the thing is, we did this last year also. Anybody who's interested in mental health and anybody who's interested in meditation or whatever. So, when I also attend certain meditation sessions, and in fact, I give feedback to the people conducting it, because they were explaining for very long about what they were going to do. And meditation is an experience. So I, in fact, spoke to her. She was really sweet, this lady. And I said, can you just make us do more of the process and less of the explanation? And she took that feedback, and, she actually told me that it was good feedback, because you want to experience that, right? Information we have, all the information we need, we have. But the experiences that we need, we don't have. So I focus more on that.
That's amazing. And that reminds me of this video that I was watching today about someone who identifies themselves as a spirit guide. And they were saying that, do you feel like you know what to do, but you're not able to do it? And I thought, of course, yes, I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. And then he ends up saying that's not your fault, because we grow up in a world or in an education system that prioritizes rote learning over application. So I realized that it's very true. We might know everything, what has to be done, but putting it into practice is completely another, right? I think even with meditation, I know what has to be done, right? I have to sit with my feelings. I have to just breathe 5 times. I have to meditate for 5 minutes. But sometimes I'm just not able to do it because it's not a habit yet. So I think that's a really nice segue into doing what we always do, is do a little 2 or 3 minute meditation. And just like you said, not only talk about meditation, but also put it in practice. So would you like us to lead us through one, please?
Oh, okay. So why don't you close your eyes? I think the easiest one is to just focus on your breath. So today we'll do one. Everybody is watching this. Gently close your eyes, and whatever position you're sitting in is fine. And now take your attention to the incoming breath, the inhalation. Just very gentle, just a very gentle attention to the breath, the inhalation. And you can put your hand on the stomach, the belly button, and just feel the breath going into the stomach. And breathe out through the nose. And as you breathe out, just release all the stress, all the anxiety, all the anger, any negative emotion that is there in your stomach, in your body. Just enjoy this process. Thank this breath. Take a nice breath in and let it go towards your stomach, to your stomach. And release all the negative emotions with the exhalation. And do it a couple of times by yourself. And now with the inhalation, thank this breath, thank your body. And promise to take good care of it. And breathe out. And you can gently open your eyes whenever you're ready.
Beautiful.
And of course, you
Thank
can do
you
it
so
longer. I was just I did it short because I think you have a next segment happening. So
Of course, absolutely. But I think as I keep realizing with meditation, just sitting for even 2 or 3 minutes can be really, really good to calm the mind down and to center yourself. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharad. With this, we're at the end of this segment. Uh, for everyone who's watching on YouTube for the first time, please join us again in 2 weeks for the next edition of the Happiness Show and Musings and Meditations with Mr. Sharad Jagtiani. We will shortly begin our next segment, the Soulful Sunday Open Mic at 6 p.m. So we'll see you then, or we'll see you next week.
and
We'll
thank you,
definitely
Garima,
see you next week, Sharad.
thank you, Garima, for always being so interesting to talk to. And I love the conversations we have even before this Zoom call, which
Absolutely.
are such a learning for me also. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sharad. The feeling is very, very mutual. It's been so great talking to you and reflecting with you about the pandemic. And such an honor to be able to bring that to everyone watching on YouTube.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Soulful Sunday Open Mic. My name is Garima, and I'm part of the Happiness Collective. We will be starting very, very shortly. Until then, please switch off your video and your mic. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, again. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Shikha.
Hey Garima, thank you very much for having me here. Hey,
Great. Amazing. How are you doing?
very well. How about you?
Amazing. Just waiting for a few more people to join in, and then we'll begin the program. Can our featured performers please switch on their video? Hi, Shivani.
Hey Shivani.
How are you doing?
Nervous?
You have no reason to be nervous. You have an amazing poem.
I really don't know what to say, so I'm just gonna be like. So thank you. Thank you so much.
We're
I think
excited
you-
to have you here.
Thank you.
Just waiting for a few more people to join in, and then we'll begin. Can I request everyone in the audience to please mute themselves if they are not a featured performer? Thank you so much. And also switch off their video. Thank you again. Lovely. I think we can begin now. Shivani, can you please switch on your video? And Jaya as well. Perfect. Amazing. Well, great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Garima, and I am the community manager at the Happiness Collective. Welcome to Soulful Sunday Open Mic with Slam Out Loud. The Happiness Collective is a community of citizens who have come together at a time of crisis to share joy, help each other, and promote emotional and mental wellness. Our work is across building our community online through social media, with live streamed events and programming on YouTube, and building resources for mental health with professionals in the field. The Happiness Collective hosts Soulful Sunday on the Happiness Show in partnership with Slam Out Loud, a not-for-profit for-mission organization based in Delhi that enables children to find their voice through artistic expression. For those of us who are joining us for the first time, the Happiness Show is a unique 3-segment program on YouTube that happens every second Sunday, where we explore how to engage with mental and emotional wellness in these times by learning about how different people are responding to the pandemic, taking care of themselves, and helping others in need. The segments include musings and meditations with Sharad Jagtiani, who is an actor, singer, and life coach, that starts at 5:30 p.m. and that just ended, the Soulful Sunday Open Mic, which is about to begin, and Candid Conversations with Changemakers, which will happen right after this segment. Soulful Sunday is an evening of poetry, music, and dance on a specific theme, with featured guest performances and an open mic for the audience at the end. This week, our theme is gratitude, and we are deeply grateful to have Shivani, Atul, and Jaya as our featured performers. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I would now like to introduce Shikha, who is my co-host from Slam Out Loud, a theater artist and works in art-based pedagogy. Welcome, Shikha.
Thank you very much, Garima, for inviting Slam Out Loud to partner with the Happiness Collective on this open mic event. And thank you very much for joining us and being a part of us. Well, so while we start, I have posted a link in the chat box. It is a Mentimeter link where we will do a quick check-in in terms of how are we feeling, how are we doing. So there's an option there for you to give quick responses. It's entirely up to you if you'd like to respond in a word or in sentences, and we can take it forward from there.
The responses will also be screen shared, so you will see what other people are responding on the Zoom event, but of course you'll not be able to see the names of the people themselves. Please click on the link in the chat box, which will take you to a website where you can answer these questions. Excited, tense, eager, happy, and grateful. Well, I think that's exactly the sentiment that we're looking for on this open mic. Refreshed, petted a dog. I also have a dog. But Shikha's more of a cats person, right, Shikha?
Absolutely, Garima. And they're affectionate in their own ways.
For people who are just joining us, there is a Mentimeter link in the chat box. Please click on this link and answer the question, how are you feeling today? And what is something nice that happened today? Feeling calm. That's great. I think for a time where we have a pandemic, it's a really good thing that we're feeling calm. We're feeling grateful, amazing. That's the theme of our show. Excited for this event. I'm also excited for this event. Up until 2 p.m. today, I was a little nervous, but now I'm very excited. Grateful for waking up. Congratulations on waking up. On some days, it can be hard just getting out of bed. So I'm really proud of whoever this is that they've made out of bed today. Excited and nervous. Got a lot of wishes from many well-wishers. I think that's such a gift to have well-wishers in our life. And I think that's something that we all really need right now. Excited to see my sister perform. That's great. Feeling very well, and the time spent in my village was a very enjoyable day. That's amazing. Feeling loved. That's so beautiful. Joining this event, feeling fine too. Amazing. I think on some days, we don't have to feel great. We don't have to feel happy. We just have to feel fine. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for answering these questions for us. I think it's about time that we begin with our segment. Our first performer for the day is Atul Mishra. Hello, Atul.
Hello, Garima.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Very well indeed. Goa. I live in Goa.
Very excited to see you perform. Everyone in the audience, Atul Mishra is a retired nuclear scientist and now lives in Goa. He is also a recently turned singer and guitarist and has an amazing voice, which you are all about to see right now. And can sing almost 2,000 songs from old Hindi movies by memory. Is that true, Atul, or was that just a boast?
No. That's not an exaggeration.
That's brilliant. Well, we can't wait to see you perform. Please take it away.
Okay, thank you. मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू पकड़ घूमू बन के घुमरू मैं ये प्यार का गीत सुनाता चला मंजिल पे मेरी नजर मैं दुनिया से बेखबर बीती बातों पे धूल उड़ाता चला मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू पकड़ घूमू बन के घुमरू मैं ये प्यार का गीत सुनाता चला मंजिल पे मेरी नजर मैं दुनिया से बेखबर बीती बातों पे धूल उड़ाता चला हो टिरडिरडिरडि यूडडे पका योका पका हो टिरडिरडिरडि मिली 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 यूडडे बागा नुगा बागा हो टिरडिरडिरडिरडि यूडडे मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू पकड़ घूमू बन के घुमरू साथों में हम सफर न कोई कारवां भोला भाला सीधा साधा लेकिन दिल का हूँ शहजादा है ये मेरी जमीन ये मेरा आसमां हो टिरडिरडिरडि यूडडे Baka yoka paka. Oh, tiririririri, pakpar, mili, 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 mili. Yudade, baga nuga baga. Oh, tiririririri, yudade. मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू फक्कड़ घूमू बन के घुमरू प्यार सीने में है हर किसी के लिए मुझको प्यारा हर इंसान दिल वालों पे हूँ कुर्बान जिंदगी है मेरी जिंदगी के लिए ओरडे 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 मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू पकड़ घूमू बन के घुमरू मैं ये प्यार का गीत सुनाता चला मंजिल पे मेरी नजर मैं दुनिया से बेखबर बीती बातों पे धूल उड़ाता चला इडली इडली यो युडली युडली यो इडली इडली यो युडली युडली इडली इडली यो युडली युडली यो इडली इडली यो युडली युडली Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Atul sir, I am blown away by your voice every time I hear it. How did you get into this?
Just
Have you always been a singer?
no. I have been a scientist all my life, but it's been like my hobby. Even now, it is like a hobby only.
Hmm.
Sometimes I perform for people when they demand. Otherwise, I sing for friends, close groups.
So did you learn the guitar after you retired?
No. I had picked up guitar in college itself from some friends, but never formally. Just picked up informally and then continued strumming informally. I can't read music. I'm not a musical literate, but I can play by the ear and understand. That's all.
That's amazing. Can you tell us about a time or a memory that is most significant to you about playing the guitar?
That was in 1987 when I played guitar on a hilltop around a bonfire on a moonlit sky when my wife got attracted towards me because of my guitaring and we got married.
That's beautiful. I think that definitely is probably the top memory one can have about
This
their
guitar
art
got me
form.
my life partner, my wonderful life partner, and I'm really grateful to God for giving me such a lovely wife.
That's beautiful. Is she here with us today on the Zoom call?
She's on another call. I had to join another call. Sunday evenings we have a singing session, so I just escaped from that call and come here to sing for you. I had to go back to
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much, Atulji, for moving a routine around to join us for the Soulful Sunday open mic. That genuinely makes me really happy. But this YouTube link and live will be available afterwards for your wife to watch.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. She will watch it. I'll ask her to watch it.
Great. Since the theme of the open mic is gratitude, can you tell us something that you're grateful for today?
Grateful for this, like God has given such a good life. I got such a good job in Bhabha Atomic Research Center. I earned for 30 years and I'm getting my pension also. And I got such a lovely wife in my organization only, my colleague. Life has been all bliss. And then I moved to Goa and nobody stopped me from shifting to such a beautiful city like Panjim, where I live. So everything is falling in place. And even during pandemic, in spite of the pandemic being so much around, I'm able to help people. I'm sending regularly from my pension to people. And I'm in a position to help people. I'm grateful to God for that. I'm in a position to help. And so many.
Definitely. That's really inspiring, Atulji. I think the pandemic is really difficult for everyone.
Very.
Just seeing you and seeing your ability to be grateful and the fact that you are helping other people because you can.
And I sing every Saturday for 45 minutes on Zoom, 8:30 to 9:15. And it's free of course. It's an international show. People join from all over the world. Mm-hmm. At least 150 people are joining and it's increasing every day. I'm doing this for past 7-8 months. Mm-hmm. You are also welcome to join my Zoom show.
Yes, absolutely. We are the Happiness Collective.
They always pick up 10 songs like this, 10 songs, and I just sing on guitar and my wife also joins me in singing. She's also a very good singer.
That's beautiful. Please share the link with me so that I can share the link with the audience after the show is over.
Definitely.
And thank you so much, Atulji, for your
Thanks a lot. I'll exit now.
Yes, singing for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would now like to ask my co-host Shikha to introduce our next performer.
Thank you, Garima. We now have Shivani with us. Shivani is a queer poet and writer from Hyderabad. She has performed at Hyderabad Literary Festival and was the runner-up at the Bits Pilani Hyderabad National Poetry Slam. Thank you very much for being with us, Shivani. Go break a leg. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Right. So I wrote this poem yesterday, hence I didn't get a chance to by heart it. So forgive me if I just read it from my phone. But this particular poem comes from a very peculiar position I found myself over the last couple of months. So it's like there is this, I learned of this term yesterday, hence I wrote the poem yesterday. This term is called situationship, which is basically a relationship which is as undefined gets. As in, there are romantic feelings, but it's not like friends with benefits. There are feelings, but you don't know what exactly this is. Like, are you guys in a relationship? Are you guys a couple? Like, what are you? You know? And I found myself in a similar situation without even realizing that, oh my God, like I'm in a situationship. Because I was coming out of a long-term committed relationship, and suddenly I found myself with this person I met on the internet, and we're talking, and things are getting intense. And then within a few days, this person decides to leave because things weren't working out. And in that space of heartbreak and loss, I wrote this particular poem called Situationship. So here goes. And once again, please, I'm really sorry for reading, but yes, here goes. Situationship. What is it with rain, the chill air, the moist air, the air that pushes you under bed sheets and you snuggle and sleep, only to wake up in the arms of winter and then waking up again to find him gone and now it's summer all over? What I'm trying to say is that I miss you when I shouldn't. I miss you like a body missing its amputated leg or arm or a kidney replaced. I miss you like the clouds miss the rain. I miss you, and I hate myself that I do. But I loved loving you. I loved forgiving you. It's crazy. It's crazy, all of this us. I barely knew us, barely knew you, any of you. No picture to mark you, no internet trail. I even considered going through the profiles of who commented under your mostly sky pictures or road pictures or building with a window or two lit pictures, impersonal as impersonal gets, hoping that at least someone held your face the way I hope to in my head. I swear, if you were in front of me, I would have erased all the gaps and the distance, cutting through the air like a bullet leaving a gun, shooting straight for your heart, or at least your head, marking you like God to Cain. Your hands were teeth, and your touch left marks. Your voice had teeth, and Lord, I lay at your feet, a feast ready to be devoured. So lonely and lost at sea, I thought you were the lighthouse. But no, no, you were the sirens. And instead of tying myself to the mast, I swam to you, choking in a devastating pull. You were kinder though, you let me go, and I swam away, the salt of the sea and the salt in my eyes, indistinguishable, and I sailed away wiser, but heavier. Still, I wish I had hurled myself at you, temptations. How one sees the gaping maw of a valley or the dizzying world from a skyscraper, and the annihilation is an itch to be fulfilled. You never touched me, but you did. And you promised you will, whatever, whatever. I promised myself that I won't write about you. But the sky is heavy with the promise of rain, and promises remind me of you and all the promises we made to each other. But what are promises but words? What are words but wind? What is wind but the caress of the sky? What is the sky but blue? What is blue but the grief that makes the ocean? What is the ocean but the salt in you and me? And what are you and me but words that mean nothing, might have meant something, were once everything, and now are gone, 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 empty like these hands you swore you'd hold. And now there is no more holding, only loosening my white knuckled grip on your memory, and like the sky, release you, all of you, washing you off me like rain, cleanse me, clean me. I want to be cleaned off you, clean, clean, clean. That as the first drops of rain rest on my tongue, there is no more burning, no more burning, only falling, 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 free, free, free. Thank you.
That was soulful and powerful, Shivani. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and being the voice. If I may ask, what has been your inspiration as a queer person and a writer and a poem? And a poet.
I don't mind being called a poem.
Oh, yeah.
My inspiration, as in like who inspired me to write or something?
Yes. What inspired you to take up poetry and writing as an expression of art?
I don't think anything inspired more than I sometimes feel that things choose you rather than you choosing them. You know, it's like as if, because I had been writing from a very young age, from class 2 onwards, from the age of 6. But then I stopped writing because, as with all things hobby go, you don't think it's anything big. You're like, this is, what is the big deal about it? You know, we are made to believe that only certain fields are the way ahead, right? Like be it science or commerce, sort of a thing. But then I found myself in a situation somewhere around 2017 onwards, where I was in a very unhappy place in life. I mean, it was probably the darkest year of my life. And in that darkness, I didn't choose art. Art chose me. And next thing I know, I am writing because that was the only way I could cope with what is going on. Because before that, I had been writing for events, for competitions, for other people. But that was the first time I was writing for myself. And what I was writing was what was just weighing me down, what was heavy on my heart. And I was just trying to unload or trying to at least understand what is going on. So writing chose me, not the other way around.
Beautiful. And since the theme of today is gratitude, how would you define gratitude, or how has it played out for you?
Gratitude, I think, is a perspective. I feel is a way of looking at things. You know, it's very easy to be pessimistic. It's very easy to be cynical and be like, the world is going to dogs, everything sucks. I mean, look at this year, for example. Life is shit, nothing is working out, everything is fucked up, like everything is a mess. What's the point of living? You know, it's so easy to be cynical, it's so easy to be pessimistic. But to be grateful, meaning to be optimistic, is a radical way of being. That you're choosing to see the good. You're choosing to look at things that are good, things which you can hold on to. You know, it's easy to get swept away in the current of all the pessimism, but positivity, gratitude, it's basically all about looking at the good things and being like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to that. You know, and this is what is keeping me grounded and here. This is my reason to be here. So I feel that's what gratitude is all about, a perspective, a radical choice, you know, in the world of cynicism.
Right. Thank you, Shivani. Love your energy, and we definitely love to hear more of your thoughts. Just encourage more of your voice to be in a space like this, because these conversations are really important, and these conversations are what which takes us somewhere to start asking the important questions. Thank you very much, Shivani, for being with us. Is there anything more that you like to share or add in this space?
Yeah, sir, you had asked, right? What are you grateful for? I'm basically just grateful to be alive, honestly. I mean, in the face of, not just in the face of a pandemic, but it's basically like the mind is a very powerful place, right? And it plays a very incredible role. You don't realize what a thing this entity is until you find yourself in a dark spot.
Right.
And it's so easy to just keep sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking. And you just realize, oh, it's an endless dark hole in there, you know? But to crawl out of that and to look at life and be like, I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be on earth. I don't want to go away. Not yet, not now. It's too soon. You know, I was in one such pit last year, and to come out of that, to crawl my way out of the darkness and to embrace the light and be like, I want to be here. I have so much to do. There is so much to live for. There's so much to hold on to. That's why I'm grateful. I'm grateful I made the choice of living, even though it was a thought which was it was almost painful to think like, why even live? But I'm grateful I made that choice. I'm grateful I'm here. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm just grateful, to be a person
Yeah.
and for this life. Yeah. And for art,
Yes.
Yes.
We're grateful to you, Shivani, for being here
Thank you.
and sharing this space with us. Thank you. We next have Jaya, and over to you, Garima.
Thank you, Shikha. Shivani, you are powerful. You are amazing. I have loved getting to know you in this process. And I'm also really glad that you're here. I think it's for poets like you that we do Soulful Sunday open mic, because you're the ones who are willing to come here and share and show up. So thank you. Thank you again. I would like to introduce our next performer now, Jaya Singh. Hi, Jaya.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great too. Really, really excited to have you. For everyone watching this, Jaya is a classical dancer trained in Kuchipudi, Gudiya Nritya. Is that how you say it, Jaya? Did I say it right?
Gaudian Nritya. Gaudian Nritya.
Guardian Nritya. My bad. And Kathak. She also practices belly dance and Lavani, which is a folk dance from Maharashtra, and is currently learning contemporary dance. All of this, and she is only in the ninth grade. So, Jaya, you are already ahead of most of us from what you're doing in life. Really
Thank,
honored to have you here and
thank you so
really
much.
excited to see you perform. Take it away.
Thank you.
Jaya, that was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
I can imagine. Dancing must be very, very tiring.
Yeah, but I enjoy it.
When did you start dancing?
It was 4 years back when I took dancing as my performing arts in school. And my teacher, Moshmi Banerjee, she thought I had potential. So she started giving me extra classes. And that's how I started enjoying it.
That's amazing. What do you love the most about dancing?
Dancing is very rejuvenating. So it's like a me time to me, and I really enjoy it when I'm like in stress or whatever. I just dance and be myself. So
That's beautiful. I think we all do that. I dance in my shower at least whenever I'm having a bad day. Is there any memory or any significant moment that you have from all of this time that you've been dancing?
yeah. So during the pandemic, my mom asked Mr. Washim sir, that to take extra classes for me, and he accepted me as his first student. And because of him, today I'm here. I have exposure, and I'm winning competitions. So I'm really happy for that. And yeah.
That's amazing, Jaya. We're so proud of you. We're so happy that you're doing so well so early on in life. And I hope that it only gets better from here on now. Tell us something that you're grateful for today, since the theme of this open mic is gratitude.
Okay. So I'm grateful that I have everything to live a comfortable life, even during this pandemic. And I'm grateful that my parents support me so much in everything. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this life.
That's really beautiful, Jaya. Everyone in the chat box is messaging me and telling me that your performance was amazing. So not just me, everyone here has loved your performance. And I'm pretty sure everyone on the YouTube live thinks the same. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of our featured performances. Shikha?
Thank you, Garima. Jaya, thank you for the terrific performance. And while we wrapped up with our wonderful 3 performances, we'd like to open the floor for all of you to share your art form, your expression with us. And we'd be happy to see you.
This is an open mic, guys. You can share your poetry, you can share your singing, you can also just share with us something that made you grateful today. So whenever you feel comfortable, please switch on your video, switch off your mic, and go ahead and share. Would anyone like to switch on their video and share with us what they're feeling grateful for today? Shika, what are you feeling grateful for today?
I am feeling grateful for the rains in Bangalore. Since its past few days have been really, really warm. So the rains is something which has brought in, the freshness, the positivity in the air. And that's one thing I'm truly grateful for today. Thank you, Garima. Would you like to share something that you're grateful for today or in the past few days?
Yeah, definitely. So Sundays actually happen to be my cheat day. I'm not on a diet, but I'm a big foodie. So if I don't give myself a day where I can eat what I want, and on the rest of the days I have to be disciplined, I would become very unhealthy very quickly. So since it is my cheat day, my sister made donuts, and we had donuts with a lot of Nutella on top of them, which I really enjoyed.
Delicious, sinful.
Definitely sinful. Would anyone like to switch on their mics and share with us what they're grateful for today?
or if there's just anything else that is on your mind and you like to share with us, contribute to the space, we'd be happy to. This is a
You
space
don't-
of sharing. This is a space of love.
You don't have to switch on your video. You can also just switch on your mic and share with us. Bhavya, would you like to share something? I don't think Bhavya can hear us. Well, that's okay. People are feeling a little shy. And Shikha and I, when we were planning for this open mic, we thought that this is something that would happen. So we planned another activity with you so that even if you're not feeling comfortable sharing on video, you can share with us on text. Shikha, do you want to tell us how the activity will happen?
So right now, I'm going to be sharing another link with you where it's again a Mentimeter link where you go to close your eyes, think of something that has mesmerized you, taken your breath away, or something that you've just been simply grateful for. Perhaps the people in your life, or your pets, or food, or the weather. It could be anything that you've been grateful for, or even towards yourself, or pushing yourself harder every day, considering how days have been tough and people have been having a hard time. But it's also very, very important where we take a moment to be grateful for things going well in our life. So I'm going to be sharing this link with you. It's going to be similar to the first link that we shared, and we'd love to hear what you have to say.
For everyone watching on the YouTube live with us, even if you can't answer the question, this is something that you can do sitting where you are. So close your eyes, think of something that mesmerized you, took your breath away, and something that you're grateful for. Everyone else on the Zoom link, please click on the link that Shikha has sent in the chat box and tell us what is something that mesmerized you, took your breath away, and something that you're grateful for. Sunlight. I actually went to college in the US in a place where there wasn't a lot of sunlight. So I can totally understand why someone would be grateful for sunlight. Oceans in the starry sky. Shikha, you love traveling. I think you would really appreciate this answer, to be able to visit the oceans or visit the hills where you can see the starry sky.
Actually, that's an interesting thing. Thank you, Garima. This point definitely did take me back to my travel days, and how most places that I've been to has given me a breakthrough in terms of where I was in my life, and definitely taught me to be grateful for um, numerous things happening in my life which I probably didn't quite take the conscious effort and the time to identify it in my life. And for example, when I've traveled, Bhutan has been that place for me, which really taught me to be grateful for the very basic but the important things in our life, which is food, which is happiness, which is sharing, having people in your life to who are looking out for you, friends, people who matter, everything around us. There's so much that the nature gives us. Unfortunately, we're not giving back as much, but I suppose that is something which has been my takeaways in terms of being gratitude as part of my travel experiences. And most importantly, the people that I've met from different cultures, different traditions, different mindsets, different choices that they made in their lives.
That's amazing. We have somebody who's answered, really mesmerized by Shivani ma'am's poetry. It has so much depth. Shivani, are you still here?
Yeah,
Shivani, someone is extremely mesmerized by your poetry. I hope that
Thank
makes you
you.
happy today.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. I mean, I wonder if you can see my face, but it's just
Yes.
more like,
Yes,
thank you.
everybody is able to see your face. And so glad that you shared your poetry with us. So glad that somebody found it mesmerizing and was able to share with you how touched they were.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And that whole oceans and the starry sky thing, that was me. So,
of course.
Is there something else that any of you would like to share more in terms of how work from home has been for you? How has life changed for you, and what has been the silver lining there? Spending time with your family, with your children, with your parents, with your partners, with your pets. I have two lovely kittens, and I've been most grateful because though we can't as much communicate with each other through a language, but there's so much that we've been able to connect and being grateful for. So any of your stories?
I also have a pet. She's a dog. Her name is Bella. And the really funny thing about Bella is that she really likes listening to the sound of Om. And maybe this is something that our family makes up. But everyone in my family, my father, my mother, my sister, and I, every morning we sit together and we do pranayam. And when we do that, our dog comes and sits with us. And she puts her head down and she looks so calm and she looks so peaceful. And me and my sister, we had to be convinced into doing yoga and pranayam because we thought it was really boring. So now my father says, look, even Bella, our dog, enjoys pranayam. So that is something that has actually been really nice about being at home and working from home. Because before this, I was not living with my parents, and it was only during the pandemic that I came back. So that's been something that I've been really happy about. What about you, Shikha?
Yes, on similar lines, actually, while I definitely have been extremely grateful for getting abundant time to spend with my family, live closer to them, so that we're always there for each other during these tough times. And there have been instances where we've had to depend and rely on each other, and I've been extremely grateful that, thank God, my family lives close by and they've been easily accessible. I definitely do miss going outdoors, performing outside, missing the stage. So while that's there, but it's just been a time where I definitely feel where most people today realize that being there for each other, reaching out to each other, has something which has been the priority. And that's taken over. So happy to be in that space, to be a part of that community.
Definitely. I think it's very normal to be missing things that were part of our life before, which actually reminds me that we had another question for our audience. Many of us missed traveling in the pandemic. Tell us about a travel experience that you really loved. Shikha has already shared with us how going to Bhutan was really amazing for her. Everyone in the Zoom event, please type into the Mentimeter link that Shikha has shared with you about a traveling experience that you really miss. I think my traveling experience was definitely this one time that I went to Dharamshala. And it is a very touristy thing to say, but I loved the momos in Dharamshala and I loved the weather because during the time that I went to Dharamshala, I was living in Delhi and I absolutely hated Delhi summers. Even though the Delhi food was amazing, the summer was unbearable.
Or you could even share how you felt when you traveled a certain place, how that experience was for you. That's
And
true.
to Konark in a short window. That's interesting. I
That's
think short
interesting.
holidays can also be really fulfilling. And South Goa, so much calmer than North Goa. I agree with this.
Absolutely. Yes.
I've been to Goa a couple of times, and I think everyone should go to South Goa and just enjoy the beaches and the food. I even tried fish in Goa once. It was the one time that I thought that I should try fish because all of my friends keep telling me how good fish is, but I never liked it. And I think that was the last time that I ate fish, because that day I realized I am never going to be that person who likes to eat fish, and that's okay. So Goa is a very important part of my life also. It helped me realize that I, as a person, do not like eating fish. Would anyone else like to share a travel experience that they really miss?
This is interesting. I miss flying as part of my travel experiences. I'm not too sure of who shared this, but I am intrigued to hear more about what part of flying is something that you really miss as part of your experiences. Would you like to unmute yourself and share a little more on that?
Hi, I shared that.
Hello.
Hello, yeah. I really miss wanting the window seat instead of the aisle seat and looking outside the window, taking pictures of the sky, and just not doing anything else for those few hours when you're traveling. And yeah, I think that's just a really calm time for me.
Thanks for sharing, Bhavya. We also have Shivani in this chat who's shared with us that the best thing about the whole let's live indoors scene, and something that I'm privileged to enjoy, is all of us living together, to get the time to connect with the family and eat home cooked food after years of hostel life. This feels nice. I relate with this sentiment. I definitely enjoyed home cooked food when I first came back, but definitely have to say that home cooked food has also become a bit boring. So it is a double-edged sword. I think it's great to live at home. It's also terrible to live at home. Sometimes on some days it's only great. On some days it's only terrible. Some days it's both. But I think all in all, I'm just really grateful to be close to my family.
Or have there been instances where somebody else has been grateful to you for the things that you've done in their lives for them? I've always been grateful to my mother for cooking healthy food for me. I mean, now that I've started cooking by myself, I have really learned that how I wasn't as grateful to my mother for taking care of my well-being, of my health, looking into how I always ate healthy food, always drank a lot of water, ate a lot of healthy food, ghar ka khana. But today I am. After I've started cooking for myself, I really realized that she's done a lot because of which I am healthy today. And I'm truly grateful to her for that. So is there somebody else in your life whom you are grateful to for what they've done for you? Or vice versa? Or someone who is grateful to you?
Let us know in the chat box. Well, I think you can only force people to share up until a certain point. Thank you everyone who did share. Thank you everyone who came to this event. Oh, look, someone has shared that's grateful to my mother for absolutely everything. I think grateful for our mothers in general. I'm also very grateful for mine. She is watching this YouTube live right now. So thank you, Mama, for watching. And thank you to all the mothers for all of the work that you do for us. I think that brings us to the end of this evening. Shikha?
Thank you, Garima. Thank you very much for being a part of this space. We wouldn't have been able to do something like this and spend our Sunday evening without all of you. So you've really made this happen. Thank you very, very much. I am thoroughly, wholeheartedly grateful for being a part of this space, for taking the time out, because I also believe that nothing is more valuable than time, and you've chosen to give that to us today. And I'm really, really grateful to you for that. Thank you very much, Atul sir. He's not with us at the moment, but thank you very much, Shivani, for your powerful words. Thank you very much, Jaya, for your energy and your amazing performance. You have left us with some great questions to think about and as takeaways. So thank you very much for that. Thank you. Over to you, Garima.
Thank you, Shikha. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, our featured performers, our audience. Thank you, Slam Out Loud, for partnering with the Happiness Collective for the Soulful Sunday Open Mic. Thank you, Shikha, my co-host. Always a pleasure to host with you. The Soulful Sunday Open Mic happens every second Sunday as part of the Happiness Show on Zoom, as well as live streamed on YouTube. We hope you join us in 2 weeks as well for some wholesome poetry, music, and dance to brighten up your Sunday evening. For everyone who has joined us a little bit late, Soulful Sunday streams on a larger segment called the Happiness Show, presented to you by the Happiness Collective. This is the second segment in the Happiness Show. The third segment will be starting at 7:15, so in about 20 minutes, called Candid Conversations with Changemakers, where we have a featured guest from the social sector in conversation with Kartik Desai, who is the founder of the Happiness Collective and the executive director of Asha Impact. We will be starting at 7:15 p.m. We hope you join us again on the YouTube live. And if not, definitely in 2 weeks' time for Soulful Sunday again. Bye-bye, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Garima, and I am part of the Happiness Collective. Welcome to Candid Conversations with Changemakers, our third and final segment on the Happiness Show. The Happiness Collective is a community of citizens who have come together at a time of crisis to share joy, help each other, and promote emotional and mental wellness. Our work is across building our community online through social media, live streamed events and programming on YouTube, and building resources for mental health with professionals in the field. For those of us who are joining us for the first time, the Happiness Show is a unique 3-segment program on YouTube that happens every second Sunday, where we explore how to engage with mental and emotional wellness in these times by learning about how different people are responding to the pandemic, taking care of themselves, and helping others in need. These segments include Musings and Meditations with Sharad Jagtiani, which is a chat about life and meditation that starts at 5:30 p.m., the Soulful Sunday Open Mic that starts at 6 p.m., and the Candid Conversations with Changemakers happening now. Candid Conversations with Changemakers brings a featured guest spearheading positive change in times of the pandemic. In discussion with Kartik Desai, the founder of the Happiness Collective and executive director at Asha Impact. Hi, Kartik.
Hi everyone.
Kartik and the guest discuss their work, the guests themselves, and their work in the context of mental health and emotional wellness. This week, we are honored to feature Kanksshi Agarwal. Hi, Kanksshi.
Hello. Hi. Good evening.
So excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. Kanksshi Agarwal is the founder of Netri Foundation, India's first women's political incubator and a non-partisan organization nurturing a community of women in politics. She is currently working at the intersection of technology and society from a rights-based approach and is interested in regulatory frameworks, data governance, big tech, privacy, and diversity in tech. Before we begin, as a community of citizens that has come together in times of the pandemic to support each other, on each edition of the Happiness Show, the Happiness Collective is proud to feature a nonprofit organization doing outstanding work on the ground in times of the pandemic. If you enjoy our programs and content at the Happiness Show, we encourage you, in the spirit of empathy and kindness, to pay it forward by supporting the selected NGO. This week, we are pleased to feature YDA, or the Young Drupka Association Garsha, a youth-led organization fundraising for an incredible campaign that distributes COVID relief supplies in isolated areas of Lahore and Spiti in Himachal Pradesh. You can read more about their work and donate to their campaign in the links in the chat box. We are also joined by a representative from the YDA, Mr. Sanjeevan Roy. Mr. Roy, can you hear us and see us? Hello?
Sanjeevan's internet connection may be a bit patchy, huh? Because he's in a difficult geography.
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Actually, the internet connection is not very good in the place I am right now.
We can hear you. Do you want to just give us a quick 2-minute introduction to the work that you guys are doing? Hi, and we can see you now as well. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So tell us.
Thank you very much.
This is being live streamed on YouTube. So tell us.
So hi, this is Sanjeevan Roy. So I've been in this region for around 2.5 to 3 years, working with a lot of NGOs and social initiatives. So I think I had a discussion with Kartik sir, as well as Garima ma'am, and we wanted to share one of our initiatives that we are rightly working on. And this is related to COVID relief activities. So first of all, I would like to thank Kartik sir for giving me this opportunity to present before you a cause that is very dear to me. So YDA stands for Young Drupka Association. This is a youth-led initiative, the organization that has been working in the region of Lahore and Spiti, that is in the northern part of Himachal Pradesh. So this organization has been running for around 10 years, mainly on the environmental front. But last year, in 2019, when the first wave of COVID hit the valley, we tried to carry out an extensive preventive measures, as well as there was a countrywide lockdown, because of which we turned out lucky and the region was safe from the wrath of the COVID. But in the second wave, the situation is very different, because the second wave, the COVID, the variant is lethal, as well as there is no countrywide lockdown, because of which the region is seeing a lot of movement of inflow of tourists, laborers, migrants and all. So this region actually is a very remote region. So the infrastructure, medical infrastructure, is not at all capable of handling the kind of crisis that was seen in other parts of the country. And God forbid, if this kind of situation, arrives in this part of the country, then we will not have anything to do. I mean, things will spiral out of control and we'll just be standing there and watching everything. So we are trying to create a lot of preventive measures. We are trying to take a lot of preventive measures to prevent the kind of situation that has happened in other parts of the country. So right now we are focusing on 4 specifics. I think Garima ma'am will also be showing a short video of what we have already done. Garima ma'am, would you like to show the video, and thereafter maybe I can explain the cause?
Yes, absolutely. Sharing the video right now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Julie. Namaskar. मैं YDA गर्शा का एडवाइजर और एक्स प्रेसिडेंट सोनम जंगपो। और स्पीति जो जगह है, जो हिमाचल प्रदेश जो एक स्टेट है, उसका जो सबसे एक टफेस्ट जो जगह कह सकते हैं आप, एक टफेस्ट जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट है वो है। तो अदर जगहों से, अदर डिस्ट्रिक्ट से ये 6 महीने के लिए कट जाता है। तो जैसे ही लास्ट ईयर एकदम से कोविड बढ़ा, तो यहाँ पे भी लाहौल में भी काफ़ी लोग डर गए थे कि कोविड एक बहुत बड़ी बीमारी है और यहाँ पे भी आ सकता है करके, मतलब लोगों में काफ़ी ज़्यादा डर पैदा हो गया था। तो उसी के चलते तो हमारी एनजीओ और हम सब ने, हमारे सभी मेंबर्स ने डिसाइड किया कि हम एक सोशल वर्कर होने के नाते हम इस पे काम करेंगे करके। तो हमने लास्ट ईयर 14 अप्रैल 2020 से ये कैंपेनिंग हमने स्टार्ट किया था। रोहतांग टनल नहीं खुला था अप्रैल मई में, तो गाड़ियाँ जो है रोहतांग टॉप होके आते थे, तो रोहतांग पास से होके आते थे। तो काफ़ी लोग जो लाहौल के जो विंटर में कुल्लू मनाली या दूसरी जगहों में बैठते हैं, तो वो सभी आने लगे। तो सभी के मन में डर पैदा हो गया कि यार अब लोग नीचे से आ रहे, तो यहाँ पे हमारे पूरे एरिया में। तो हमने एक इनिशिएट किया कि हम सब जितने भी हमारे वॉलंटियर्स हैं, तो सभी जाते थे खोखसर में जहाँ पे चेक पोस्ट है, तो वहाँ पे जितने भी गाड़ियाँ आते थे, प्राइवेट गाड़ी या टैक्सी, सभी को सैनिटाइज करते थे। बसों को सैनिटाइज किया, टैक्सियों को सैनिटाइज किया, जितने भी टैक्सी ड्राइवर थे सबको हमने हैंड सैनिटाइजर्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन किए। और साथ ही साथ उसके बाद ये चीज़ कंटिन्यू चलता रहा। फिर एकदम से जब अटल टनल ओपन हुआ, तो अक्टूबर में अटल टनल ओपन होने के बाद एकदम से बहुत ज़्यादा क्राउड आने लगा अक्टूबर 2020 में। तो टूरिस्ट बहुत आने लगे। उसके बाद एकदम से टूरिस्ट जैसे ही बढ़े, तो यहाँ पे भी माहौल सब कुछ नॉर्मल चलने लगा। तो उसके बाद एकदम से वापस से केसेस आने बहुत ज़्यादा शुरू हो गए, और एकदम से जो हमारा एक वैली है, चंद्रा वैली, उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा केसेस आने शुरू हो गए। तो वहाँ पे फिर हमने एक नया एक कैंपेन स्टार्ट किया कि अब हमें कुछ मेडिसिन या मेडिकल किट्स ऐसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करने का हमने एक प्लान किया। तो हमने मतलब अक्टूबर नवंबर से ये चीज़ मेडिसिन और मेडिकल किट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करनी शुरू की। तो पूरा दिल्ली में ये कैंपेन चलता रहा पूरा नवंबर दिसंबर जनवरी फरवरी मार्च तक हम करते रहे इसको कंटिन्यूसली। और पूरे लाहौल में हमने कोशिश की है कि सभी लोगों तक विटामिन सी, विटामिन D3, हैंड सैनिटाइजर, मास्क, ग्लव्स, पीपीई किट्स, सोडियम हाइपोक्लोराइड, उसमें स्टीमर्स, ऑक्सीमीटर्स, सभी हमने प्रोवाइड किया। और उसी टाइम जो हमारे एनजीओ और हम खुद वॉलंटियर्स हमने खुद ने कंट्रीब्यूशन किया फाइनेंशियली, और लोगों का भी हमें थोड़ा फाइनेंशियली हेल्प मिला, तो उससे काफ़ी रिलीफ आया। सेकेंड स्ट्रेन ये बहुत एक फिर से एक घातक बीमारी लेके आया है, और इस बार आप सभी जानते हैं कि डेथ केसेस बहुत बढ़ गए हैं। तो
हेलो,
हमने वापस एक बदलेंगे और इस
हाँ संजीवन जी, गरिमा बोल रही हूँ। मैं कह रही हूँ कि वीडियो खत्म होने के बाद ना हम थोड़ा टाइम हमारे पास कम है, तो आप बस ये कहना कि थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर वाचिंग द।
मृत्यु होने से पहले हम इसको मेडिसिन या दूसरे अदर जो भी किट्स है वो लोगों तक पहुंचाए, ताकि हमारा जो ये लाहौल एरिया है वो सेफ है। साथ ही साथ इस बार हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है, क्योंकि इस बार आप देख रहे हैं कि लेबर्स जो आउट ऑफ कंट्री बोल सकते हैं, नेपाल लेबर्स या आउट ऑफ स्टेट जैसे बिहार से आते हैं या यूपी से आते हैं जो लेबर्स है काम करने, इस बार बहुत ज़्यादा है। तो हमारे लिए एक चैलेंज है कि हम अपने लोकल्स के साथ साथ हमें उनका भी ध्यान रखना है, क्योंकि लेबर्स बेचारे, हम ये देख रहे हैं कि उनके पास ऐसे कुछ साधन नहीं है। उन्हें कोई ना मेडिसिन देने वाले हैं, ना कुछ फूड देने वाले हैं, ना अदर कुछ मेडिकल किट देने वाले हैं। तो इस बार जो लेबर्स है वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा है, अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 5000 प्लस पूरे लाहौल में लेबर्स है। तो हम वो भी टारगेट कर रहे हैं कि लोकलों के साथ साथ हम लेबर्स को भी मतलब ये सेफ्टी किट्स या मेडिसिन, राशन, ये सब हम सप्लाई करें। ये हमारा एक मोटिव है, क्योंकि मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ भी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है कि यहाँ पे ये सब चीज़ें, क्योंकि पता है अगर अब एक बार ये बीमारी फैल गई, अगर यहाँ पे पेशेंट्स आने शुरू हो गए, तो ये आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल होगा और डेथ रेट जो बहुत ज़्यादा जाएगा। और इसके चलते हम चाहते हैं कि भाई हम इसे टाइमली रोक दें, और हमारे पास, हम सभी जानते हैं कि टाइम बहुत कम है। और जिस तरह से कि ये इंडिया में ये कोविड फैल रहा है, तो ऑब्वियसली सी बात है कि यहाँ पे भी बहुत जल्दी फैलने के चांसेस है इस बार। तो मैं आप सभी से अपील करता हूँ कि प्लीज़ हमें हेल्प करें।
Thank you so much, Sanjeevan ji, for sharing this video with us. Can you please come on video?
Yes, just a minute. Yeah. So, like, I just want to give 4 points. So, through this, through the second campaign, what we are trying to do is, first is carrying out extensive sanitization again. Second is distribution of the medical kits. Third is distribution of rations, mainly to the laborers and the migrants. And fourth, we are trying to arrange some sort of oxygen concentrators and oxygen cylinders. So related to this, we have started an online fundraising campaign. I think Garima ma'am will be, sharing with all of you, and it would be really nice and really kind of you if you could help us support the campaign, because this is really vital for this region. So thank you very much, Garima ma'am, Kartik sir, for giving me this opportunity. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjeevan. Thank you, Sanjeevan ji, for doing the incredible work. I have shared the links to the donation campaign in the chat box, everyone watching on Zoom. And for everyone watching on video, the link is shared on YouTube as well. Thank you, Sanjeevan ji, for joining us. Kartik and Kanksshi, please take it away.
Thank you, Garima. Namaskar, Assalamu alaikum, Sat Shri Akal,
Kartik.
and Jule, since we're also talking with the Naropa Fellows here. Naropa Fellowship is a wonderful program in Ladakh, folks, which is where I originally met Sanjeevan and team. And they're doing absolutely fantastic work. So that's why we, wanted to showcase that and let you all know, because as you know, THC has a completely not-for-profit, paid-forward model. All our services are free. We ourselves are donating to them and raising capital from HNIs for multiple NGOs who are working, on mental health with underserved populations. So I just wanted to encourage all of you, especially on YouTube, who have been enjoying our programs. Please do support them. As Sanjeevan was saying, this COVID shifting from the cities where all of us have suffered so badly to the rural areas, this is really the critical issue that all of us face. So with that, thank you all for being with us. I hope you've enjoyed the programming till now. And this is something that we really look forward to every Sunday. We bring one extremely dynamic change maker who comes and shares their story of how are they creating change, who shares a little bit about themselves and their personal journey, and links it also to the critical issue that we all care about, which is emotional and mental health. So we're very, very privileged and pleased to have with us today Kanksshi Agarwal. I'll just briefly walk you through Kankshi's background. Kanksshi is someone who, as Garima mentioned, runs Netri Foundation. And Netri Foundation is such an interesting entity. It's basically an incubator for politics and with a gender dimension. So for women who want to enter politics. So that's what she runs. And it's a super interesting organization. Before this, she's done a bunch of very interesting things. She's been a consultant at the Center for Policy Research, CPR in New Delhi, a senior researcher there. She's worked, on an organization called Shenomics as a coaching fellow on Lead Like a Girl. She's worked as a research fellow in Citizens for Public Leadership. And she's got various other experiences, including as a LAMP fellow, as a legislative assistant, working with Professor Rajiv Gowda, a gentleman that I admire tremendously. This is the person who also led the research cell of the Congress Party, of which Kanksshi was a member, helped draft the manifesto and a lot of the key policies there. A lot of very interesting things. Delegate at National Taiwan University, delegate and policy research intern at the Niti Aayog. And your LinkedIn keeps saying, show 5 more experiences, show 5 more experiences.
Kartik, stop embarrassing me already.
Right? So Kankshi's, and I will not reveal Kankshi's age, but suffice it is to say that she's a young person, and at a very young age, she's achieved a tremendous amount. So we're very pleased to have her. And I should mention that she's done her studies at TIS, so she's got a deep background in social science and in management. She's got a degree from the Indian School of Management in Bangalore, and she's done an executive program at the Kennedy School. So I'll stop with that. We're at 7:30. We'll happy to take an hour or so, but and we're also very pleased. We've got a really decent, we call it our live studio audience, because this show is, of course, simulcast on YouTube, and it's shown as part of the happiness show at various hospitals and whatnot. But we do have an audience here, and we would love to get questions in from them. So as you know, guys, this it's a very simple, straightforward discussion. It's supposed to be candid. It's supposed to be about how we bring change into this world, and it's really supposed to be about Kanksshi. So Kanksshi, over to you. Would you start by telling us a little bit first, before we come to you, about your work?
Yes.
So what is Netri Foundation? I mean, we know about it, what we read about in the press and all, but what is it really, and what are you trying to do?
So, because Kartik has already made the room very stuffy. Oh my God, there's so many things that you read out, but it was absolutely not needed. But I would like to meet everybody in this room in my element, which is hi, welcome. And as Netri Foundation, as Kartik and both Garima have kindly introduced also, they are hosting me just to talk about not only the work, but also the vision. And I think when we talk about vision, we sometimes, we have these perspectives about society and how we want to make that real big change. Netri, as an organization, works to impact the 500 million women who are not being adequately represented in the Indian Parliament, in the state assemblies, or even at the local level. When I say that, so Netri is an incubator for women in politics, because the abysmal representation of women currently in the Parliament and state assemblies is deeply worrying. So we want to increase that percentage. Currently, it is at 9% on an average, 9 to 10% on an average in states, and 14.3% in the Indian Parliament, in the Lok Sabha. And definitely, 500 million form 50% almost of the society. And we are definitely doing a disservice to half the nation if we are not representing them. So just a small, simple little thing, but of course very complex when we go into the nitty-gritties of it. But this is how Netri Foundation came about. It is for training women to come into politics, equip them with the skills, give them the community that will keep them motivated, also that sisterhood, which we usually do not find in public service, right? We think that politicians are always at the throat of each other. And that is why we really need to build that sisterhood and that community in politics. So Netri comes up with that mindset, with that perspective, that multi-pronged approach also. Training, building the community, running different programs, which not only prepare women who will run for office, but a whole army of women who will join the office with the women, which essentially meaning that they are also becoming campaigners, booth managers, political strategists, all of that. So it's an ecosystem that we are looking at. So this is what Netri essentially does, Kartik.
No, super. So, let's go deeper into that. So, I'm just going to try and simplify it. So you're trying to get more women into politics. The issue is the problem rather is well understood. That I was trying to pull up the stats here, but I think they're abysmal. I think it'll be interesting for us to know first about the levels. Many people, I'm sorry this is overly simplistic, but that's the idea of a candid conversation, which is to democratize it for a wider audience.
Yes.
People often say about the examples of women in leadership in top roles, whether it's Mrs. Gandhi, whether it's Benazir Bhutto, whether it's Sheikh Hasina, and they say, hey, in your South Asian region, across the three major countries, all of you have had women prime ministers. And you look today at Mamata Banerjee or others, right? And yet, these are the three societies with the highest degree of patriarchy, I would submit, than anywhere else in the world. Multifaceted, deep patriarchy. So how do you explain that? Is it just like an exception that, because the fact that these leaders have emerged, people like Hillary Clinton have pointed this out, that India is better than us in democracy, in that aspect. But we're obviously not better in other aspects, right? Politicians are known for being very corrupt and even murderous. Whereas in the US, if they commit even the smallest crime, if a politician spits on the street, the cop will arrest him. Here, the cop is literally running after him, like cleaning up his spit. So, so is it good or is it bad? And like, how do we interpret that for a Western audience, which says, how do you answer that question?
No, of course. So thank you for that question, because it usually comes up. And but also there are no simple answers like the bad and the good. There is no white and the black. There is everything in the gray. So especially when we take, and let's decode that one by one. So let's take the example of somebody like an Indira Gandhi, somebody like the CMs that we have, and we have a range of women CMs that we've had, right from Suchita Kripalani, who was the first CM of Uttar Pradesh back in 1950, to currently the only CM, which is Mamata Banerjee. So this is the kind of range that we are looking at, right? And there were 15 women who were a part of the Constituent Assembly. And I always say that we always talk about these founding fathers. Where are the founding mothers in the story? When we talk about the freedom fighters, we always say, and of course the due credits to Baba Saheb Ambedkar, but there were also other 15 women. Why are we not talking about their contributions? We say that there was Nehru who did all the work behind the India's health infrastructure that you see today. But then we do not mention Rajkumari Amrit Kaur enough, who was the first health minister of this country. So I also feel that there is a very strong narrative problem who we wanted to choose and we wanted to pick in putting in that role model effect, at least at the national level. And there is an amazing paper done on the role model effect by Asthir Duflo when it happens at the primary panchayat level, right? So so I'm again saying that there's a range that we are talking about. And when we take these examples and say, oh, but you're better, I think we would have been better if it was a systemic change that we looked at since the time Indira Gandhi came into power, right? Or even since the time when decentralization happened and our then Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, was very thoughtful to bring that legislation in. But we also see a continuous lack of political will, which did not let a similar reservation of 33% be implemented or even passed. Like that bill for last 27 years is pending in the parliament, and now it is of course also lapsed in the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha passed it a few years ago, but it is now also lapsed there. So hence what we are talking about is like few women which happened with their, like, there's no taking away the credit that they reached where they reached, either as the prime ministers or the CMs of the country. They reached where they did, but then these are one-off cases, and we can always put them on the pedestal and say, oh, but you know what? Because we have so few examples. You look at Mayawati or Mamata, a lot of us will tell us, no, but Mayawati was corrupt, or even Jayalalitha was corrupt. And, you know, see Mamata's style of leadership, this is not what we want for women. Because there are so few women, we scrutinize them so hard. We have a different benchmark of scrutiny when it comes to women. And we make that as a weapon to not give more women that opportunity. We say, no, but you know what? Women are also equally corrupt, so let men do it. What is this logic, I think, right? So this is a problem where we have seen some women make it. They are kept on that pedestal, but also in public life, and a lot of people will agree, public life where do not go without a taint. If you've had a long career, kuch na kuch, one thing or the other will come up, and people will find a reason to taint you. And I think that has happened with our role models also. So if I could say that, you know, Indira Gandhi is my role model or Sushma Swaraj is my role model, 5 people from other side will say, but you know what, they did this wrong. And in public life, even men have not been, like, you know, impeccable, or they have not been without a taint. So I think these are the problems, and that is why it did not seep deeper into the system. And that is why we also saw that the society made these women the weapon to keep other women out of power and say, no, but you know, even women are not.
And how tragic is that? You know, the reason I raise this point, you know, is I do feel that women politicians in India and people who want to get into politics in India have it really, really bad. And this is why I get really upset with my American friends when they bring up the example saying, you've had women PMs, you've not had PMs. I feel like telling them it's almost like those women PMs have been placed there. You know, I mean, Indira Gandhi was the daughter of a previous PM. So, and it didn't have any beneficial effect for other women or women in politics. Or to put it differently, that structural inequality against women exists in all democracies, right? Even in America, they'll say that.
Just to add one more thing. Before you go ahead, just to say that it has benefited women in. So, for example, if there is a different study which says that okay, when women come in power and when they are ruling or governing at a local level, they tend to focus more on social policies. Their investment in public infrastructure is higher. So, in a gram panchayat, a man is more likely to give you a tap water if you complain about water, like tap in your house. Bolega ki, I'll put a tap in your house. But instead, a woman might think about getting a public resource of water. She'll be like, okay, how can this benefit the community and the society? So this is the kind of difference. And again, Esther Duflo talked about it. But it has not benefited women who wanted to get into politics. And that is also because how society, the narrative portrayed it.
Correct. And I'm coming to the levels in a bit. We're going to talk about center, about state politics, and about local politics. We're not only talking about women in powerful national positions, but we're starting with that. So I'm going to come to that. And I completely agree with you. In our development discourse, we know this, that if you give 100 rupees to a woman, she'll spend it on the family. If you give 100 rupees to the man, he'll spend it on himself. But let's just complete this point on the perception of this issue. The point I was making was that there's a structural inequality against women everywhere, right? You can look at the stats that X number of women are in the US Supreme Court or in their parliament or whatever. But I feel, and tell me if you agree with this, that women in India in politics have it particularly bad. So it's like a difference between structural inequity and like a particularly vicious kind of undermining. And I'll tell you the examples of that. Male politicians basically are the ones, right? Like they almost seem to keep it this way, whether it's the Me Too movement, some of them are accused of child trafficking. A lot of them tend to be unmarried, including, our prime minister. They often make sexist comments towards me. They don't have families. In America, if you're a politician who doesn't have a family, you literally can't get elected. They're saying if this person does not have the ability to take care of a family, how are they going to take care of people? And Indian politicians turned out against you, saying, oh, all the people are my family and all, right? Marital rape. When there was a discussion on marital rape, I heard 5 male politicians saying something like, hey man, all of our parliament would get arrested. So I just don't know how women politicians are able to deal with this. So you'll often have exceptions, really strong-willed, really articulate, really charismatic women. You've got Mahua Moitra, you've got various others who are able to react to this kind of an evil patriarchy. But structurally, it seems like it's almost designed to keep them at the behest of men, at the national level. Do you agree with that, or is that too harsh?
Okay, I would agree with the part that yes, men in the Indian Parliament, 48% of them at least have one criminal case or a case against them. And you want to compare that only 14% representation to women and all of that. But at the same time, so what we are all.
I think we've lost Kankshi's feed there. Looks like it's a power cut. Garima, are you there? You guys can see.
Yes, she should be able to join us back.
Yeah, we'll just give her a few minutes. Meanwhile, you guys can see this beautiful sunset behind me. Can you see this?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna call, and my mom is also here. So I'm actually in Dharamsala, folks. Or rather, I should say, I'm on my way there. So I've stopped off in Chandigarh for the evening, and we apologize for this technical interruption. Just give us a moment. I'll just.
Kanksshi will be back in a second. She's just messaged me.
Sounds good. Meanwhile, if you guys can think of some good questions, we will jump in.
Kartik sir, I had one question.
Yeah, Sanjeev,
I would like to.
What's the question?
So I think the discussion was really interesting, and that is why I would like to put for this question. So I speak from this region of Lahaul Spiti, and I have seen that this is my observation that the more remote region we go, there are more women representatives in the local politics. In fact, in the region that I am right now in, most of the cultural activities, most of the social initiatives are led by women. And in fact, in early this year in Spiti, they had this local panchayat election, and among the 13 panchayat, most of them were women who were selected, elected. So how do you respond to that in terms of the difference that we see from mainland India and the rural regions and the remote regions? That gives us a very different kind of perspective of women in politics.
Thank you, Sanjeevan. That's so well put. That is in fact exactly the next question, which is, we are going to talk about how local leadership is very different from national leadership and what that looks like. But I like the dimension that you put on it, which is that even at the local level, like you have urban councillors and MLAs in Delhi also, but particularly when you go into rural areas.
So sorry, I lost connection, Kartik.
No problem, Kanksshi. We were just waiting for you to dial back in. It's absolutely not an issue. We'll pick up exactly where we left off.
I was just finishing one point, saying something about yes, but when we say, and I was just going to say that how the social capital for women is anyway a very limited endeavor. Women do not get the kind of social capital by the fact that we live in a very patriarchal society. That social capital actually translates into their ability to form allies, right, and form communities. Even I see something very, very chota sa example that I always give of these small villages and small towns. You can't just loiter in cities. You can't just loiter in towns, and that directly relates to the fact that women who have come in power in India have had some dynastic association, or they had just been launched right from the freedom movement. The freedom movement actually was much more gendered in its way, that Mahatma Gandhi and all the other great leaders made sure that women were a part of it. However, post-independence, if we see, the dynasty has played a big role in making sure that women could also get access to that social capital, which is essential for politics. And hence, because these women have come with ties, as we call them, dynastic ties, we've been harsher. As I keep going back to the same point, we've been harsher against them, or also they have not left the kind of legacy that they could have left behind if they would have if every woman was given a chance to build that stature for themselves. So I think it is a very family tied thing, and hence it also put women in the light that it did.
That's a very interesting point, and it's a good one, that the dynastic thing applies more to women, and simply because of supply and demand, and that has to change. So look, I guess two bundled in questions, and we'll move to the other sections, which is how do we fix this? Many people simplistically talk about reservations. Are reservations a good idea? And the larger question is this, that's just a generic question, which is the levels. And while you were gone, Sanjeevan, who runs the NGO in Lahaul Spiti, was also asking this question. We were discussing that. He said that women leaders in local areas like Lahaul Spiti and other places in rural India are often more, they tend more to be women, and they tend to do better work. So how is that distinction, right? And it's such a key part of Netri, because many of these so-called political incubators are just focusing on the fancy stuff, whereas you guys are focusing on women at all levels, and not just in front-facing roles, even in back-end roles. You had mentioned to me once that it's not just you need women to be MPs, but if a woman MP goes onto the field and thousands of men are surrounding her, they also need to be advisors, and they also need to be
that is the soul of it, Kartik. I think this is also a key advantage that we are building at Netri, or say in whatever way we want to put it, that it's not only about the elected position. And I think I derived that sense of responsibility when I was working in an MP's office, and we realized that how important the teams of an MP or an MLA or a politicians are. It's sort of a make and break, and it is anywhere, right? Leaders choose their teams very carefully, because they are the people who are actually putting them. They are the people you have through your thick and thin. So first, to answer the question where you specifically ask about the levels, and definitely reservation is something that I am personally, and even at Netri, we are a key supporter of the fact that reservation of 33% must be legislated both at the parliament and the state assembly levels. Having said that, this is also the linchpin where we say that we will not sit around till you give us the reservation. We will keep preparing ourselves, and that is also where Netri's motivation comes in, that you don't give us the demand, we will become so high in supply that you will not be able to ignore us. There will be so many trained women, which are already there also. Like, I don't want to say that it is only Netri doing this work, essentially, because there are so many organizations that have been working on the ground, working with these 1.4 million women sarpanches, right? And as I keep going back to saying that, women do invest in different kind of policy making, it happens. Also, there is a counter narrative, which is about how women are proxies at this level. I personally usually always say that we've again weaponized that to keep women out of power. We have said, okay, men are making women proxies. But what essentially is the point there? That, are you telling me out of 1.4 million women, not 1% of them are independently working at the ground? You're then lying. You're not lying to me, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to the country, right? So going back to the fact that when women takes office and preparing them for different roles, because those roles work as a foot in the door, right? You begin as a campaigner, and no great politician that we have today has not been a booth campaigner at some point. You have to start from there. And then, because that's one way of making it up there, because you don't come from a certain dynasty. And to have that kind of understanding is also very important, that politics is not only external work. And I think this is the third part that we'll be talking about. It's a lot of internal work, in the sense it has to be this desire to help a lot more people than yourself, right? That public service or service attitude is very, very important to it.
Lovely. So amazing. So I'm going to paraphrase this discussion and we'll move it ahead, and we've got some more people joining us. So I'm really excited about the Q&A. Just hold tight, guys, for another 10 minutes, and then we'll open it up. Here's how I paraphrase it, the three things, and tell me if I'm wrong. The issues. One is patriarchy, which is men just treating women badly on purpose. Second is social capital, which I'm going to put it in my investment terms. It's supply and demand. That there have been few women in politics, and those who have been there technically from family reasons. So it's been difficult for them to build their own social capital. And social capital is obviously linked to patriarchy. And third is, again, to use business terms, a lack of an ecosystem approach. For whatever it is, right? That there needs to be a different levels. It can't just be like the front facing and, that window dressing, and people feel, oh, look, this is wonderful. So broadly, this is the stuff. Now, before we come to the inner challenge, because that's really what we want to talk about, it's a mental health program. Of course, we know the external structural challenge. We can talk till the cows come home about all of those, but we did want to cover them because they're huge. But the key issue and what we want to grapple with here is the inner challenges, right? Because these are sociological behavioral issues. Why do we behave this way? Are voters behaving a certain way? Do women sometimes also can be hurting other women, or what, right? Like what are the, or to put it best, how does a young woman or an older woman who wants to get involved in politics, what are the thoughts that go through her head? What are those challenges and such, which you would have the best idea of? But before we go to that, Kanksshi, could you tell us a little bit more about how you got into this stuff? You've got such an interesting background. You're such a young person, and you're doing all of this. Tell us a little bit about how you got into it. What like ticked it off for you? Like, was it always been clear that you wanted to do this? What gave you the motivation to start Netri? Let me ask you.
Well, thank you. That's a very interesting question. And also, we have so many moments that lead up to that final moment, right? You're bottling so many experiences within you. So of course, I'm an engineer turned policy professional turned whatever this political entrepreneur, whatever what we want to call it. So okay, being an engineer, my journey kicked off in activism. But as I was growing up, I was growing around politicians. Like I saw politicians. I think I do come from where, from the privilege, perhaps one may say it, that I had access. I could see, I could observe. I was intrigued. But I, of course, didn't know exactly what these people do, right? Politicians have this myth around them, or this mystery around them. And from there, going to engineering, like any other, perhaps a 90s kid does, that we think about engineering first. And during engineering in 2011, definitely got a chance to work with these movements that were happening in the country at that point. And from and there were moments, as I say, right? But definitely my engineering led me to understand that, okay, when infrastructure comes up, there is some beda sarkar making a decision, because I was studying electrical engineering. I was studying power systems and power plants. And I was like, okay, some bada sarkar decides where this power plant comes up. And if you'd know, Madhya Pradesh mein, the Congress sarkar, when it also fell because of the electricity issue. We got, like in 2001, there was a division between Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and all the power generating resources technically went to the other side, and Madhya Pradesh had that issue for some time. So I thought, okay, there's some sarkar, there is some policy that works behind it. From policy, when I was studying that, I was like, okay, who's behind these policies? It's politics. So in 2018, I realized, okay, I want to do something and, understand the system better and maybe enter it. I was chosen as a LAMP fellow as an opportunity. And when I was working with Professor Gada, it kept on, that place also inspired these thoughts, that where are the women? When we would actually look at the research department, an incredible department where we had a lot of opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and also a women friendly place, to be very honest, or a women dominated place sometimes. But then you go on the ground and you see women are absent. And even when they have challenges of their own. I was on a campaign trail, saw this woman campaigning, and she's surrounded by like 50 other men. And I was like, okay, it can't be only me who's seeing these things. There is something that is happening in the country that we don't have enough women in politics. I searched up, and then I was like, okay, is there one place that can tell me how to become a politician? I want to become a politician. 25-year-old Kankshis want to become a politician. Everybody wants to become a politician. Let's go with that hypothesis. What will they do? Who will be their godfather? Who will actually handhold them? And Kartik, I think I was just very gutsy or nervy. I didn't know. But I was like, I'm not going to be waiting to have 10 years experience in politics or 15 years before passing on my privilege, or before passing this small learning that I had. And I wanted to learn on this journey with other Netris, right? I was like, I don't mind failing if this is a social experiment that fails. I don't mind, because this is a social experiment worth giving my life for right now. And I want to be in this journey and learn with other women who have ambition that I can't even imagine right now. I have women who apply for our programs who write that they want to become the prime minister of the country. How can I back down from something so amazing? And I think that moment gave me the belief that yes, politics can change. Right now in the COVID, one thought that kept coming to us was, if only we had better leaders at state level, at national level, everywhere. People, and I was very upset when girls last year said, oh, wish we had somebody like Jacinda in our country, or wish we could move to New Zealand. And I was like, find your own Jacinda and be your own Jacinda, right? Why can't you all be Jacinda tomorrow? I think that is the aspiration and that is the hope for this country, that we can have a better policy making through better politics and gendered politics. Also, the fact that, we get ignored when 2018 happened and 18% tax was slapped on our sanitary napkins. That made me question. I was like, who's deciding that my menstrual products need to be taxed at 18%? While a bindi went tax-free. Bindi, it is so non-essential to women, while a sanitary product is. So I think there were so many moments that built it up, but I think that kick was, there was no place that was giving that kind of training or equipping women to be in politics.
Fantastic. No, amazing journey. And this is a great segue into the internal work, because what did you just describe? The internal work that you went through, or that happened to you, that got you to start something. And then one of the interesting thing that you said really resonated with this example of Jacinda Ardern. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, but the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who is someone who's become extremely popular and compelling as a cult figure all across the globe, including in our country, across socioeconomic groups and whatnot. And the point is this, that now many people are saying that, that's the ideal PM. And a woman is the ideal PM. And they're contrasting it with this strongman politics, whether it's RPM, whether it's, Trump or Bolsonaro or all these guys,
right.
Putin or Z. All the big, powerful countries are run not just by men, but by whatever pejorative word you want to use in front of that, right? That they're certainly not very empathetic people. And people are saying, well, this is an example of what empathetic leadership can mean. And empathy and strength are not mutually opposite. You have to be very strong to be empathetic. It's easy to put somebody down. But I mean, one small twist to that is the left-right debate, which I'm not sure we have time to get into. But the link here is important because there was a time when people would say, if you had a woman in a right-wing party, it could be the BJP in India, it could be the Republican Party in the US, right? That whole issue. And to me, it's a thing, because what does that have to do with anything, right? It's not like you would tell a man who's in the Democratic Party, oh, you're not manly enough. So how insane it is to tell a woman who's in the right-wing party that there's something wrong. So let's leave that issue aside unless you have something to say on that. Or maybe that's part of the internal process. So that's our final piece now. Let's get into that. And, and then we'll open it up for Q&A after your answer, which is, what is internal change? What is mental health, in this context of a woman who wants to, we keep saying do politics as if it's a bad thing, who wants to create change and impact people. That to me is politics, right? We know, for example, the public service aspect. To do public service, you have to get elected, right? So that's what we mean. So what is that? What are the challenges that people face internally, not externally? Externally, we just discussed them. What are the internal challenges that they face? Because you work with so many women incubatees. What are those common challenges? And if you can share with us some stories and anecdotes that highlight those.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a quick response to the left and right wing. I think, again, when say a Priyanka Chaturvedi defects a party, there is a bigger furor compared to when a Sindhya defects party. And, the way we also defend it in media, I really think let's first get women. And that is why Netri is a non-partisan organization. Because I deeply and personally believe I might have political opinions and nobody, like I do have them, right? But at the same time, every woman coming at Netri has her own personal, which is political. So I completely, deeply believe that personal is and will remain political. What I mean by that is that our personal experiences shape us as to which side are we likely to take in our, in our growth, in our upbringing. All of that happens. So I think that is definitely a part of the internal work, or the work that you have had your own experiences, which are shaping your experience of the society, but also not going in there in depth, but just individually looking at many women. As I said, Kartik, I might have had the privilege of growing around and seeing some political figures around me. But for a lot of people, the perception of what politics is largely shaped by media and mass media, in those days, even the movies. So this idea that politics is not for us, and then all of a sudden somebody's telling you that you can do it. So there is a lot of internal doubt. There is a lot of question. Can we really? But is it safe? What will happen to my privacy? What will happen to my safety are the biggest questions that I get, not only from the participants, but it is also something, Kartik, that I choose every day, right? Like there are so many choices that you have to make when you are in public life that you will not make if you just wanted to live a very private, quiet, non-social media life. A lot of politicians can't even afford not to be on social media because it has become such a tool of mobilizing people and doing your politics. I feel social media is intrinsically linked with how we look at our and experience our mental health, and you can't afford to go off it. Then you might have a certain set of people managing it for you, but does it really take you out of the public side? No, never. So that we feel that as human beings, when we are under scrutiny 24/7, think about it, how it can crumple all of us down, right? When we are being watched all the time, everything that we do is under this big surveillance eye, and which is happening to eventually all of us anyway, with the just that he gets a social media and all the tech platforms are anyway in our lives. But think about a politician who also has to go back and face the people who are also surveilling them, which is generally their citizens, their voters, and they are accountable for that. So while I'm putting focus on the gravity of the role, I am also saying that there are people who want to make that choice. And when we make that choice, we cannot have thin skin. I think I'm still learning, and all politicians learn it in the process, and politicians in the making learn it in the process. But it is also, and Kartik, this comes from our conversation, right? When we were talking about that, there is also a big personality effect as to who tackles it in what way. We had one example, say, of a Mawa Moitra, and the way she shirks, and her command over her narrative, right? The way she shirks anything misogynistic or sexist being, targeted or slinged at her, it is incredible. And
Correct.
she's setting, yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. So she's setting that benchmark, but that does not, you know, leave out people. Okay, we are not going to then target her baby because she gives it back so hard. But there are so many other women to be targeted. Let's go behind them, right?
No, and it's at all levels. She's I think she's friends with Karan Thapar, and in the last interview that Mahua did with him, she was like, "Hey, buddy, like you gotta let me speak."
Yes, exactly. And also the focus that comes back to women's clothing and where do they source their sari from. And I think that is one time she said, once and for all, I want to put an end to that debate. But also I'm just saying that it's a matter of a lot of like this personality, the way you don't have your imposter syndrome. Women are anyway reported to suffer largely from the imposter syndrome, which is technically not believing in yourself and always being in self-doubt. That is something that is cutting across industries. It is in private. You look at CEOs or managerial positions. You look at women working in other industries across. So imposter syndrome, when you carry that lack of self-confidence into politics, it is going to become very hard to sell yourself. I think politicians are also painted to be these extremely narcissistic people. Even girls ask me, do we have to be that narcissistic and be so in love with ourselves that we can do this? But I think the idea and somebody, from a very good friend from Britain recently shared this with me, and I would want to pass this on, that because we have these ideal male figures as our role models, even when women get into politics, they wonder whether or not we are going to emulate this kind of leader. But we don't, as a collective, as a society, we don't know what it is to be a female leader. Can we be? And that is what perhaps Jacinda and AOC have shown. When Jacinda carries her baby to the parliament, it is to be the female leader, and it is a different mold. We might want to remold our thinking about how to be a leader and not keep emulating or even aspire to emulate the current leaders that we have.
Fantastic. No, this is amazing. And thank you so much for this. And I was going to ask you as my last question, is this even a gendered issue? Because just as a devil's advocate question, and what I meant by that is to lead on to that is, if it is, what can men do to help? Are women always helpful, or are there things that women can also do better? And I think you've clearly answered that it is a gendered issue, and why it is so, because of this imposter syndrome, because of this 24/7 under scrutiny, because of the fact that the past role models don't exist. So that itself answers it, because many men will ask, why is it gendered? What if it's why is it not a class issue? We didn't talk about class, that a poor man or a poor woman should be given the preference, but it's not really correct. That also links to education. Many people say you don't actually want an uneducated man or woman in a leadership position. It's not just about, kind of filling up seats. But the reason you want women there is because women are 50% of humanity. And if you want to go beyond that, 51%, because their contributions could be welcome. And one last bit I'll add, I think it may be helpful and relevant here. In the business world, right? You've heard of ESG, environmental, social, and governance, that these three things are important. And many, gender, gender comes under S, social, but whatever it is, many people feel that it's just a diversity play. Everyone knows that in corporate boardrooms, you have fewer women and so forth. So say, add a few more women. You know what's been proven? So my boss, Vikram Gandhi, is a professor at Harvard Business School. He's done a study on for HBS on one of the biggest asset managers in the world, State Street. They manage hundreds of billions of dollars. They took all of their mutual funds over the last 25 years, which are built purely on financial criteria, which stock will do the best. Yeah. Added in that just one more criteria, which was the leadership and the board composition of these top Fortune 500 companies. or whichever it was, the NASDAQ companies or whatever, that if a company has more women or more evenly balanced management team, give it a slightly more weightage. You're not selecting it only on that. There's no shortcut on merit. Every financial variable has to account for. And guess what they found? Over the last year, they found almost like a very meaningful pursuit. You would have made like 10% more money. And why is that? Then they have to answer why. Better decision making. That if there's too many men in a room, it's like the bro code. So if there's a crisis going on, they'll all have that group think. The same thing works and vice versa also. If it's women. So they said every good organization wants to have that. And that awareness is now coming, right, in the business world. And as you said, in the political world, people do have now role models, like Jacinda Intern, like AOC. I'm trying to think of other examples, like Mrs. Kamala Harris. Right? What did you just
Okay, Netri did a survey, by the way, during that election, and we just wanted to understand we just wanted to understand the sentiment as to what do women in India think when Kamala was running for office, and when Miss Harris was, and the respected VP now was running for office. We asked that, does this inspire you? Do you feel that now you can run because there is somebody running at that level? Or I anyway wanted to run. You know what? Good 34% women said that because of her running, we feel that the time has come and all. And I'm like, okay, there are so many women running at Panchayat level every day in this country. We should also keep getting inspired by them. And all those who said, again, the Indira Gandhi argument, we said that while it was one woman, in Kamala's case, it has taken definitely 200 years, but in the process they have built a system, right? When Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have taken office, a plethora of women have gone in with them, like as their chief political advisors, etc. And now there are so many people already in the pipeline who want to do that. So they will not go back. I hope, this is the hope for the country, that they will not slide back from that benchmark. What we have done is, we had a peak, and some peaks like that can't be explained. And I think this is also from the business world, that sometimes there is a peak for very, uncontrolled reasons that you have not created. And then you want to replicate that peak and you don't know what you did right the first time around, right? I think just making the light of the situation, we need to focus on getting those right curves and crests instead of, following these peaks that we keep thinking about. Kartik, you on mute.
Wonderful, Kanksshi. This has been a fantastic discussion. I literally drove 7 hours today, and I got here like 2 minutes before this discussion was to start. And I'm glad we were able to do it in a relaxed way. Otherwise, I would have been taking it from my car. And it's 8:15 p.m. And we do always want to keep 15 minutes for Q&A.
Yes.
I will stop now. And I know that we have Letitia, someone you know, in the room.
Hi.
She wanted to ask a question. Hey, Letty, are you there?
Hi, love. So good to see you.
Over to you. What is your question or comment? Or we can make this an open discussion. And then we have one more person. And hi, Mrs. Dahiya. Nice to have you with us as well. First,
good evening. I think first Letitia should ask her question.
So I actually have a question about like you said, we should just have women out there. We can't wait for reservation. But what actually ends up happening, let's say hypothetically, we get reservation 33%.
Yes.
What people predict will happen is that we'll just have politicians' wives, daughters, aunts, whatever it is, being put up as proxy candidates, right? So how do you think we can solve that problem? Because clearly they come back with resources and legacy and political clout. Does it have a lot to do with how political funding in India is so opaque? 1. 2, so if we have, let's say, public funding of elections, which Prof actually really is an advocate for, will that help gender representation in a country like India? And will it prevent basically women being used as proxies for male candidates?
Brilliant question. And of course, comes from a very informed position. So thank you for that question. One, I'll answer. the first bit, right? The 33% reservation leading to like making a way for proxies. This happened, and that is why the prediction is, right? Because a lot of people say that this happened at the panchayat level. There are two responses to that. One could be badass, but the one being that it happened 27 years ago when decentralization happened, and a lot of men did, utilize the legislation in their advantage and put up proxy candidates. But now as I keep going back to 1.4 million women, we can't say all of them are proxy, right? At least 1% or 2% or 10% of them are at least in charge of what they are doing. And there are great role models at the panchayat level. Having said that, what I want to give as a badass example or reasoning is that we let that happen, or voters let that happen so many years ago. But are we again trying to say that we are going to fall into the trap where men will utilize or misutilize a scheme or a legislation for women? Because we have come far ahead of a society where we were not ready to have something like that at that point. And now we are people like you and me will create furore when we see something like that happening, and we will make sure that we let the women talk, and there will not be men who are going to come and speak on their behalf in the rooms. Also, this happened at village levels. We have so many villages in this country that we could not go down and monitor. But when it happens in the parliament, right, there will not be a man who will be going and speaking in place of a woman in the parliament. So I just want to say that people who do say these things, they need to think a little bit more about what they are saying, that the model will be replicated. Second, you hit the point on the nail that political funding is so opaque in this country. Crowdfunding, because 60,000 crore is the market of the political consultancies and political spending in India. Having said that, what will crowdfunding do is it will put people on the same pedestal, or even bench, even an upper cap on how much can you spend as an individual and as a party also will help you. That everybody will come on the similar level, right? Right now, people with money tend to get into politics. That is happening with both men and women. So I think that is regardless of gender. And if that is the reason why people are winning, then we as voter need to look deeper inside and say, who are we voting? Are we voting people with more money, or are we really voting representatives for ourselves? So does that answer you? It's I would be happy if I have satisfied you.
It does. I mean, we all know it's like really complicated, right? There's that book that was written, When Crime Pays, that talks
yes.
funding in India and how
exactly
biggest funders are always criminal. And
after this, guys, that's something for both of you, because this political funding issue, as you know, I work in development finance, and this issue of microfinance, right? The thesis that I have, and this is what I want to ask you guys, is that women need to be pitched more from the economic side rather than the social side, right? To show that having a woman in power is good for education and healthcare. And if you elect a man, it's good for war and famine. Like, why can it be pitched like that? Because in business, in development, like Muhammad Yunus literally pitched that, like you only lend to a woman. It's not the only criteria, but can some of that come into it?
That has been shown, right, with our schemes, the welfare schemes. When you put into the bank account of a woman, the whole family versus putting it to the bank account of a man. That is well proven. I don't know what it is. Is it gendered conditioning that women don't think just for themselves, that they're taught that, the family rests on them? So I haven't done the groundwork on that. But I think a point that has to be made about strongman politics is that what people don't realize, and which we should emphasize, is that governance is not sexy. It is not a James Bond movie. You can't have one man coming and saving the world with some, big, crazy, big move that shocks the whole world. It doesn't work that way, right? I mean, governance is basically somebody sitting in a back room eating really bad food at 4 a.m, writing those policies. Somebody who isn't very glamorous and who's really just behind the scenes and doing the groundwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in a place like India, where we like the narcissistic leader and we like the demagogue, we truly believe that our leader should be somebody who can swoop in and perform some James Bond move and save the world alone.
Master stroke is the word that is used
Yeah.
in our terminology on media also, and for anything that politician does, it's a master stroke apparently. And the way I really think that media and funding can solve so much of this gendered problem, especially women in public life problem. If only we could train our media personals to cover women more, strategically. When they tell their stories, they need to be told in a very different way than what we see right now. And definitely funding is like, because if you'll make something like, it's more like you'll not get a job if you don't have enough money. you know you bring money to the job, you put that as a safe deposit, and then you get to do the job. And that is also for a very meager pay. People spend crazy amount of money at the panchayat level, then they're paid 2,000 rupee an honorarium. And then we say that we are going to end corruption in this country. How are you, like, are we not defeating ourselves and, like, putting hammers on our own foot?
But I think as we mature as a democracy, we will look less for the showmanship and hopefully more on the work.
Right. Latisha, thank you for that question. Thank you so much.
Such an interesting discussion. Two powerful insights have come out for me. One is the economic aspect, which is the economic empowerment. If women are economically empowered, so much comes out of that. They can't be seen as secondary to men, that they're a proxy for a man or from a family of a man on their own right. But then this issue of the narcissism versus the empathy. Women, by definition, are considered more empathetic, but we don't value that in our country. I think the hero worshipping, no one values an empathetic leader. Business, politics, we value narcissists. And so we see, so let's say if a woman narcissist was to come, then you get into that making fun of her problem, right? Which is what you often spoke about, that it's easy to malign women. Whereas if a man behaves narcissistically, we put him up as a hero. And if he's empathetic, we'll say, oh, nice guys finish last. And in our country, we're particularly like that. So I think our culture also is geared towards that. And that's a tragedy, that, that we need leaders like intern, but we are unfortunately not even realizing that.
Yes.
Mrs. Dahiya, it's wonderful to have you with us. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Divya. I am Garima's mother. And like Kanksshi just said, that, the world has to mold themselves as per the woman. I could relate it to it. I was in the army. I had joined the second course. And I was the first one in the Corps of Signals with 59 boys with me. So I could very much relate, and I always felt that I had to maintain my femininity. Why should I become a man? I'm a woman. You have the Indian Army has decided to take women in it, so we come with part and parcel advantages as well as disadvantages. So now, of course, being a mother, my question to you is, as an army officer, I feel that you need to plan and be prepared for wherever you're going. So my question is that, what is your advice to parents, to girls who want to venture into politics, who want to take it as a career? To, at what level should they enter? What are the academics that they should take on? What are their social responsibilities? What are the ways like NCC, etc.? How can they, get that experience before getting into the big jungle?
Supremely delighted, one, with your presence, because I am getting to speak to a mother who's broken so many barriers and is also asking the question that I hope a lot of parents should ask. And so thank you so much for that question, Daya. Beautiful question, because of course one is the study of the opponents, right? That is where you start your planning. That I want to understand what am I getting into and who are my opponents and what is the system looking like. I think Netri as a training ground provides that kind of groundwork, that okay, this is the system, these are the stakeholders, these are the people who are going to be vehemently against you, these are the people you're going to manage, these are the people who you need in your corner. That is one thing. But having also thought about the career trajectory, because we have no plain career trajectory in politics, and also what builds up to taking that decision. I'm sure that, and if we again look at the past leaders that we have had in the country, they have come from law and journalism largely, but it does not say a mental health professional or a doctor or a teacher who should not or could not be in politics. Having said that, the third mindset that perhaps parents can make sure that when we are bringing up a girl daughter, we are saying that we are right behind you, we believe in you, and you don't fall in the trap of that imposter syndrome. Don't be a narcissist, but also just believe in yourself. I think that basic love, empathy, support coming from the parents matters a lot. I can say it because I value that support and also sometimes lack of it. And I'm like, okay, hello, we need to talk about it. So all of that. And finally, also thinking about the economics of this is very, it's very doubtful. And I'm going to address it saying that it is not like you need to know how are you going to pay your bills, because politics is a long-term journey. So you need to have a career that does pay your bill. You need to build your strengths and skills of I would say, the post-COVID skill sets. It could be, and I think one of our common friends, mine and Kartik's common friend, talks about a side hustle. Politics, though, can't be a side hustle. It has to be your front thing. You might want to have side hustle, which just pays your little rent, or put food on your table. And it could be these 21st century skills like writing, like research, like graphic designing, being a videographer. We just yesterday for our one of the programs that is currently running. We are calling them Samantha Ambassadors. Abhinandita is a cultural advisor to Deputy CM of Delhi. And she's a photographer by training, right? And how she's used her skill set also for the party, but outside the party. So these independent gigs really help when you get into politics, is my understanding. That's something that lets you keep your job. And which is also going to only contribute to politics. It cannot be like I have a day job where I'm an IT consultant and fixing and bugs, but it has got really nothing directly to do with politics. So just organizing your life as early on as you can and having that ambition and letting that ambition nurture. So thank you for that question. And I hope it does convince a mother like you that you can send your daughters into politics.
Yes, definitely. I would, I got unconditional support from my parents, and my endeavor is to give the same to Garima. And, also I feel that, now I'm a teacher, I'm taking 9th, 10th class students. So, they are young and they are energetic and they have dreams. So at that level also, if we can motivate them, make them join NCC. Now NCC, I read, is going to become an elective in college. So something like this, where they're exposed to social service and giving something back to the society, that sentiment. Right. I think that would really help them taking up politics.
And thinking about safety is definitely important. Also, their long-term safety in politics. And I think while there are now a couple of organizations working, like Shakti is there and a couple of others, we are talking about safety for women in politics. And I hope by the time more and more women join it, that in itself is also a contributor to safety. But also there can be more that can be added to it. And Netri is right now working on a campaign. Hopefully we'll update THC and you about it.
Kudos and a lot of appreciation for what you're doing. All the best.
Thank you for your presence.
Sorry, guys. That's my mom is also here with me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really wonderful to have that question. Kanksshi, unless you want to add any closing comments, I just wanted to thank you. And I wanted to end, it's exactly 8:31, by reading out some quotes by women leaders from other parts of the world, which resonate deeply with what you have said. And, the first is on ambition. You could certainly say that I've never underestimated myself. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. This is by Angela Merkel. The second is we talked about empathy, and we talked about how women are naturally more empathetic. And a certain Dianne Feinstein, senior senator from California in the United States Senate, has said 90% of leadership is the ability to communicate something that people want. Okay.
Yeah.
You've also spoken about tenacity and inner strength, and the fact that women are often belittled and pushed around, and it's just harder for them to do politics. And of course, that has to change. But we really must give credit to those women who are bold enough to get into it now. And we also spoke about left wing and right wing. And it's not to say that empathy is only the people who are liberals. So here's a quote from Golda Meir. I can honestly say that I was never affected by the question of success of an undertaking. If I felt it was the right thing to do, I was for it, regardless of the possible outcome. And the final thing I wanted to say, and this is very appropriate as I transition it back to my colleague, Garima. Ma'am, I hope you will give her a few more years to before she joins politics. Garima is a community manager and pretty much the person who's been running THC. And here's a quote by another right-wing lady, Margaret Thatcher, which is very simple and the best quote for us to end it on. I think Kanksshi knows what I'm going to say. And Garima will appreciate this. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
You don't even have to ask sometimes, Kartik. But on that note, having said all of that, thank you so much for giving me this platform. And there's Shirley Kilsum, who said, when they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your folding chair. What I want to add that Netri is trying to build a whole new table altogether, right? And it might not be an even table also. It might just be like somewhere it's like slanting, the height may vary, the width may vary, and it will completely depend upon the people who will make that table. So let's make that table together and then get a seat at it. That is my only last statement, and let that have more and more women. So thank you for giving me this platform and for such a delightful conversation and amazing guests who could ask such brilliant questions. So thank you so much. And Garima for coordinating those amazing collaterals and those graphics. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thank you, everyone. It's most definitely a collective effort at the Happiness Collective. Kanksshi, your work is so inspiring as an entrepreneur, as someone in politics, and it really makes me feel like things are possible for women in this country. Thank you, Kartik, for this conversation, for showing up as an ally with women, asking the right questions, pushing on the right questions. And thank you to my mother for showing up and asking this question. I did not know this was going to happen, but here she is. Thank you, everyone, to our audience who joined us for Candid Conversations with Changemakers as part of the Happiness Show. The Happiness Show happens every 2 weeks, so we hope you join us again in 2 weeks' time for this wonderful Sunday evening programming. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely night. Bye-bye.
Bye. And do donate to Sanjeevan's NGO, Julie. Bye.